Chapter 820. Realization. Chapter 820. Realization. Huang Mei was very smart and immediately said, "Emoing, could you come sleep in my tent? I have 2 sleeping bags. Otherwise, I'll be really scared at night." Everyone was dazed at this. They had been with Huang Mei for quite a few days and knew she was a very conservative woman. Although she was average-looking, her body wasn't bad, and she was mature. Everyone would have some thoughts about such an overnight invitation. Feng Yinqi was dazed too after hearing Huang Mei's words. She rejoiced. She wanted to stay in the same tent with Emo, and Huang Mei's words were a gift. Although she wouldn't suck essence blood in the tent, she would have something to do at night with a sturdy and good-looking man. And, although this Emoing was injured, his smell was very good. She didn't mind letting such a man sleep with her. She was far from having had enough fun with just Chen Yinju. Emo applauded Huang Mei's wits. This way, he could go to her tent without needing to find an excuse. The middle-aged man also glanced strangely at Huang Mei's odd actions. But no one said anything. Emo knew why Huang Mei told him to go to her tent. Before he taught her the cultivation method, he asked how everyone met. Apparently, Feng Yinqi used an underground ancient martial arts auction to gather the people to explore an ancient martial arts ruin in Wuchugua. But he knew that Feng Yinqi was just looking for some resources to feed her cultivation. "You all believed what she said?" Emo asked. Huang Mei shook her head. "Of course I wouldn't believe it just like that." But she took out a very ancient metal card which had a map carved into it. She said she had gone there before, but that the place needed 5 people at the same time to be opened, so she invited us. Brother Xiao also confirmed the card to be of an ancient martial arts ruin. Emo knew that Brother Xiao, Xiao Shui, was the oldest man there. Thinking about the Yin Wuliang he killed, he took out a metal card from his ring and said, "Does the metal card look something like this?" Huang Mei grabbed it immediately and asked in shock, "How can you have this metal card too? It's exactly the same as the one Feng Yinqi has." Emo nodded. He was sure that Feng Yinqi was one of those core disciples of the Algu sect. "Do you understand Feng Yinqi? Do you know how strong she is?" Emo asked. Huang Mei was dazed and asked Emo, "Do you also suspect her?" "I'm very suspicious of her, but I can't think of what her purpose is. I think she's about the same level as us, at least yellow level tertiary stage." "Same level as you?" Emo sneered. "She's at the earth level primary stage. It would be all too easy for her to kill all of you." "What?" Huang Mei was truly stunned. "Earth level?" Huang Mei murmured. Black level was already an insurmountable mountain for her. Earth level was a thing of the legends. Emo nodded. "That's right, but she just reached Earth level tonight. She's from the Algu sect, and she uses goo bugs to cultivate. This makes her much faster than ordinary ancient martial artists." Emo kept asking, "Do you know how that Cheninju died tonight?" Huang Mei knew what Emo meant and said in shock, "Are you saying Feng Yinqi killed him? Why did she kill him?" Huang Mei was suspicious of her, but Feng Yinqi had no reason to kill. Emo said plainly, "She has 10,000 reasons to kill. Chen Yinju is just the start. She's from the Algu sect, and she uses sex to suck men's essence blood to increase her own power. Those who have all their essence blood sucked dry all die." Huang Mei's face blushed hearing this. She didn't understand why Feng Yinqi brought her to then, but she couldn't ask Emo that. But she knew that if she hadn't met Emo, she wouldn't even know how she died. This extremely pretty woman Feng Yinqi had the heart of a scorpion. This made her shiver. Seeing that the atmosphere was awkward, Huang Mei immediately said, "I can have a look at what she's doing." She took out a camera and opened it, showing the inside of Feng Yinqi's tent. Emo still said, "Don't put cameras in her tent anymore. She would be able to know each time you went in." "No way, I was very careful each time. And the cameras are very small and wireless," Huang Mei subconsciously rebuked. Emo shook his head. "I'm not saying she saw your camera. I'm saying if you enter her tent, she would be able to know." As though to prove Emo's words, the camera feed showed Feng Yinqi spin around her tent and murmur to herself, "Strange, she didn't come to my tent today." Huang Mei's face burst red. Emo said, "I wiped the marks you made today." Feng Yinqi then said, "She sure knows how to enjoy life, calling a pretty boy to her tent to enjoy. Old cow eating young grass." She's clearly so thirsty, yet acts so conservative. How dare you take my man? I'm going to show you what's good dash clap. Huang Mei shut the camera screen as her face was red with anger. Seeing Huang Mei about to throw it away, Yimo took it. This is quite high-tech. I'll keep it if you don't mind. Huang Mei calmed down and said, I wouldn't have thought that everything I saw was all an act. This woman really knows how to put on a show. Boo, by the way, how did you know that so clearly? Yimo shook his head and didn't answer. I'll teach you truth cultivation now. After Huang Mei found out about truth cultivation, the small world and the cultivation realm, she was completely dumbfounded. Everything Yimo said was beyond her comprehension. One night passed quickly. The next morning, everyone got up to pack their things. No one brought up to look for Chen Yingju. Everyone knew that he was 100% dead after falling down from such a high cliff. However, Feng Yinqi took all of Chen Yingqi's stuff and burned it at the cliff while crying. Chapter 821. Huang Mei leaves. Chapter 821. Huang Mei leaves at noon. The five stopped to rest at a valley. Only Feng Yinqi and that Guliangzhong guy kept talking. Xiao Shui was speaking even less. Yimo noticed he kept frowning too. I'll go look for something to eat. You have a rest. Xiao Shui said he would be going to find food like usual. However, Feng Yinqi stopped him and said, Brother Xiao, it's always been you looking for food. This time I'll go get something. You guys wait here. Yimo looked strangely at her, thinking of everyone there as her prey. How could she let them go? But then Yimo immediately understood that with her having reached her goal of Earth level, these prey weren't as useful as before. Yinqi, I'll go with you. This is the wilderness, Guliangzhong said. Hearing this, Yimo immediately knew that Feng Yinqi had calculated this. Yimo was sure that as soon as she was finished with Guliangzhong, she would come back and kill the three of them. After she killed Guliangzhong, everyone else would be suspicious of her 100% anyway. Okay, then I'll set up a tent first. Xiao Shui laughed, and Yimo could clearly see actual joy in his eyes. Feng Yinqi didn't think much of it, and immediately went into the mountains to look for prey with Guliangzhong. As soon as Feng Yinqi left, Xiao Shui picked up his bag and said to Huang Mei and Yimo, I don't want to go to Wanchu Mountain anymore. I'm leaving. If you want to leave too, you can go with me. Xiao Shui didn't expect Huang Mei to smile and say, Brother Xiao, you're probably suspicious of Feng Yinqi too, right? That's why you want to leave so suddenly. Xiao Shi was a little surprised but didn't deny it. He nodded and said, Yes, I've suspected her for a long time, but I only confirmed it now. I suspect that she killed Chun last night. We didn't need to walk so long to get here either, but she kept taking detours. Huang Mei nodded. Brother Xiao, you're right. She's from the Algu sect and Chen Yingju died due to getting all his essence blood sucked out. So I was planning to remind you anyways. You know? So you're willing to leave with me? Xiao Shui said in joy. Brother Xiao, since you suspect her, why aren't you inviting us to attack her together? Huang Mei asked in surprise. Xiao Shui shook his head and didn't speak. He didn't have any evidence, and it wasn't good to kill people like that. Huang Mei saw this and knew what he was thinking. She sneered. Brother Xiao, you might not know that she's actually Earth level. What? As Xiao Shui heard this, he immediately said, I'll be going now then. Yimo nodded to Huang Mei. You should hurry up and leave too. She'll be back pretty quickly this time. Are you not going, Emoing? Xiao Shui looked at Yimo in surprise. Huang Mei was also surprised, but she knew that Yimo would definitely not lose to Feng Yinqi, so she didn't say anything. Yimo smiled. I still have some things to do. Xiao Shui realized that Yimo was probably not afraid of Feng Yinqi, and Huang Mei probably also knew about Feng Yinqi through Yimo. After seeing the two off, Yimo's spirit sense scanned Feng Yinqi again. Sister Huang Mei, who is that Emoing? He's not even scared of all Gu sect members? Xiao Shui asked. Huang Mei said, Brother Xiao, although I know who he is, before he agrees, I can't tell you. But he's definitely not afraid of her. By the way, where are you planning on going? Xiao Shui didn't mind too much and said, I heard that my second brother is in Luoyu, so I'm planning on joining him. You want to go to Luoyu? Huang Mei asked in shock. Xiao Shui nodded. Yes, I feel like going to Luoyu would be for the best. I'm also planning on going to Luoyu, but I still have some business in Jingshui. Otherwise, I could go with you. Huang Mei said casually. I can go with you to Jingshui then. I only heard that my second brother is in Luoyu, but I'm not sure if he really is. If you know someone at Luoyu, maybe you can help me find him, Xiao Shui immediately said. Huang Mei smiled. Of course, what's your second brother's name? There's a few million people in Luoyu. It's not easy to find someone. Xiao Shui said, my second brother's called Su Ping. He was a little stronger than me before, so he's probably at the black level by now. Also, my name is not Xiao Shui, it's Xiao Changdong. Huang Mei didn't mind. If your second brother is black level, then things should be much easier. There shouldn't be a lot of black levels even in Luoyu. Yimo's spirit sense scanned that Feng Yanqi as she devoured Guliangzhong whole and started turning back with dissatisfaction. She didn't even bother going hunting. Why is it only you? Where are the other two? Feng Yanqi was surprised. Yimo said casually, Brother Xiao said that he was familiar with this place and told Huang Mei that he's been here before. They talked for a bit and decided they didn't want to go to Wanchu Mountain anymore, so they left. They told me to tell you about it when you came back. Hearing this, Feng Yanqi's face flickered, and she looked at the direction they left in. She thought that they must have suspected her and that this Imo-ing was sacrificed by them. Then why didn't you go with them? Feng Yanqi's tone was very calm. Yimo said casually, people say that wealth can only be sought in danger. They don't care about the ruin, but I only just started cultivating ancient martial arts, so I do care about it. I want to go on this adventure with you and explore this ancient martial arts ruin. Feng Yanqi had a sliver of scorn in her eyes, but she soon recovered and studied Yimo before shaking her head. Okay, then follow me. There will be plenty of benefits for you. Although Yimo was weak and his essence blood wasn't very helpful to her, she could keep a good-looking man to satisfy her on hand. She couldn't do anything to him for the next couple of days anyway, as she needed time to consolidate her power as the golden magical goo was about to come out. Yimo didn't interrogate Feng Yanqi. He just wanted her to lead the way. Yimo thought Feng Yanqi would try to sleep with him at night, and he was ready to interrogate her if he got annoyed. But what he didn't expect was that for the following day and night, she didn't even speak much to him. Another day later, Feng Yanqi took Yimo into the Wanchu mountain ranges. She had digested all the essence blood she'd obtained and was fully at the earth-level primary stage. Now, she looked even more vibrant and seductive. Little brother, can you carry me on your back? My legs are sore from walking these days. Feng Yanqi returned to her seductive self and didn't mind rubbing her busted chest on Yimo's arms at all. Chapter 822. All Goose Sect People. Chapter 822. All Goose Sect People. Ha ha ha, Martial Sister Feng. How about Martial Brother carry you for a while? This little handsome boy won't be able to resist your suction. A deep male voice sounded. A man with a dark face in his 40s landed next to Yimo and Feng Yanqi. Yimo long had known that this guy was already there. Yimo guessed that among the few core disciples, Feng Yanqi was probably the weakest. Although she was at Earth-level primary stage, how was she going to get the golden magical goo? Haha, Martial Brotherly, if you can carry Martial Sister, I would be even happier, but I think my man will get jealous. Feng Yanqi didn't seem to mind the man's sudden arrival at all. Your man. Martial Brotherly laughed and looked at Yimo. Then he said, I didn't think Martial Sister Feng would be able to resist for so long. You haven't touched him yet. Don't let Wengu take interest in him and steal it from you. Then, another person came, and he was even faster than Martial Brotherly. Humph, someone sneered. Li, you're saying bad things about your big sister again. Are you asking for a beating, or do you just want to fuck? Yimo almost vomited at such words. This person was in her 60s, and the skin on her face was like old tree's bark. Her chest was dry, and the teeth black. Yimo frowned. What was up with All Goose Sect? The people they trained were all zombies and strange people, except for the good-looking Feng Yanqi. Meanwhile, Nine Moon Sect was also evil, but most of the people were good-looking. Martial Brotherly clearly feared the old woman, so he didn't say anything. This one is not bad. When Goose saw Yimo and said in surprise. Then, she looked coldly at Feng Yanqi. Feng Yanqi quickly said, he's Imo-ing. I found him on the way here. If Sister Wen likes him, then take him. Okay. Thank you, Sister Yanqi. The old woman then looked at Emo. Follow me. There'll be plenty of joy for you. The woman was already at Earth-level tertiary stage. Emo and the others all followed her into the mountain. An hour later, they arrived to a cliff. It was joined to the other side by metal chains. Clouds surrounded the chains. Just with a tiny slip, one wouldn't even have a whole body. Wengu got on the chain without hesitation and moved forward rapidly. Emo jumped on the chain as well and followed Wengu. The three of them were surprised. However, when they saw Emo take very heavy steps on the chain, they realized that Emo could do this due to experience and skillfulness. Meanwhile, they were using mobility techniques. The chain was very long, so Emo walked for more than 10 minutes before reaching the other side. The other three found impressive that Emo could walk to the other side with his skills. Wengu looked at Emo and laughed sharply. Quite talented. I really don't want to ruin you. Perhaps you should be my disciple. Emo's spirit sense had scanned the cave that Hongwamping had talked about. It was indeed an ancient cave, and there were already 2 men waiting there. There was a man with a black mask, and as soon as Emo saw him, he was furious. It was that demon Song Yangzhu talked about. His face was like a crater. The other person was a good temperament middle-aged man. Emo felt that the middle-aged man was familiar. He felt like he had seen the man somewhere before. But Emo didn't find the golden magical goo with his spirit sense, so he didn't do anything. He wanted to see what it was. Feng Yinchi laughed. Big Martial Brother must be there already. Let's hurry up. As for this Emoing, you can take him as your disciple and also let him warm your bed. Why be conflicted, Martial Sister One? That's true. Wengu smiled at Feng Yinchi. Yet, her strange glance made Feng Yinchi subconsciously shiver. Emo sighed. Even someone as heartless as Feng Yinchi was scared of that old hag. There was mist all around the cliff. Emo saw a big stone tablet with the words, Olgu Mountain. The group soon arrived at a big cave. Emo searched inside with his spirit sense and found out that the cave had just been dug out no longer than 20 years ago. Martial Brother Ji, everyone was very respectful to that black-masked man and greeted him first. Emo was shook. That Martial Brother Ji was probably Ji Lai, the one Hongwamping had talked about. Did he have such authority? Then, why did he still organize this tournament? Couldn't he just take the golden magical goo? Ji Lai nodded and looked at Emo. Since it's a tournament between our sect members, why did you bring someone irrelevant? Feng Yinchi quickly said, This is Emo Ing, Martial Sister Wen's new disciple, so he counts as a member of the All-Gu sect. Emo heard this and immediately realized that the others weren't really afraid of Ji Lai, or Feng Yinchi wouldn't be telling such obvious lies. As expected, Ji Lai just reproached her and did nothing. He didn't understand why Ji Lai, who was half-step Great Heaven, still was threatened by them. Why is Hongwamping not here yet? Ji Lai's old voice sounded. Martial Brother Ji, he's probably dead or he wouldn't be late. The middle-aged man spoke. Ji Lai nodded. These years, our sect members either go missing or die. We're indeed far weaker than other sections. Your big brother also went missing after being hunted at Hong Kong. Yin Wuliang is also said to have been killed more than 10 years ago. The middle-aged man had a cruel look and cursed. After this, I will get revenge for my big brother. No matter who killed him, I, Ren Shi, will make his entire family pay. Emo then realized that Ren Shi was Ren Sha's brother. No wonder he looked familiar. Although everyone from the sect was there and Emo could kill them, he was still waiting for the golden magical goo. Since he's not here, we won't wait for him. There is still half a day before the golden magical goo shows up. Let's wait here, Ji Lai said and sat down. Martial Brother Ji, do you think our powers are enough? Li Man asked. Ji Lai scanned Feng Yinchi and said, Martial Sister Feng has reached Earth level. 5 Earth levels is enough to break the barrier of the golden magical goo. Chapter 823, Disaster. Chapter 823, Disaster. All 5 sect members found a place to sit, and Emo did as well, as though he really was an All-Gu sect member. Feng Yinchi thought she knew Emo well, so seeing Emo calmly sit down after seeing all this, she started to frown and suspect Emo. He didn't ask her about anything, not even the Martial brothers that suddenly appeared. But she didn't care too much. Even if Emo was fishy, she didn't have to fear him. Yimo being so young, no matter how much of a genius he was, he couldn't be much higher than black level. Not to mention, so what if Yimo was at the earth level? Yimo kept his spirit sense out after sitting down. He wanted to know how this golden magical goo would appear. But instead, he saw the small movements of the 5 sect members. A goo bug appeared below Ran Shi and burrowed into the earth quietly before it slid towards a smooth part of the stone wall. Wengu, Marshall Brotherly, and Feng Yinchi all had goo bugs appear below them, and the bugs were all crawling towards the same direction. Wengu let out too. What made Yimo curious was that the strongest Ji-Lai didn't do anything. Yimo's spirit sense scanned that smooth stone wall, and he was shocked to find that his spirit sense seemed to sink into nothing. When he forced his spirit sense in, his spirit see experienced a piercing pain as though the spirit sense was devoured by the wall. This stone wall was too strange. Yimo quickly took back his spirit sense. 3 or 4 hours later, Yimo felt the earth below him shake. Was it an earthquake? Yimo stood up immediately in shock. The other 5 also got up. The passage is open, Marshall Brotherly said in excitement. As soon as he said this, that smooth wall disappeared, and a cold gust of wind blew by. Then, a black stairway appeared in front of them. There was still rumbling audible inside the tunnel, as though someone was smashing the wall with a hammer. You go in first. Wengu ordered Yimo coldly. Marshall Sister 1, you're too careful. This passage opens once every 50 years. Countless All-Gu sect Qianbei have been in there before, Ji-Lai said, but he still let Yimo go in first. Yimo kept a calm face and didn't reject. He carefully went into the tunnel. He wasn't planning on doing anything before seeing the golden magical goo. He could only send his spirit sense a little more than 10 meters into the ground. Yimo felt that there was a formation there. This was the second place he found which was related to truth cultivators, which made him believe even more that there used to be truth cultivators on Earth. Yimo didn't go very fast, and he found that the second to follow was actually Feng Yinchi. After her came Marshall Brotherly, then Wengu, and the last was Ji-Lai. But what shook Yimo was that all 5 goo bugs had entered Ji-Lai's body, and Ji-Lai seemed like he hadn't noticed at all. Yimo was dazed. This wasn't right, but Yimo didn't think much about it as the tunnel was getting colder and colder. When Yimo walked about 300 meters further, his eyebrows started getting frosty. The others all had ice all over them. In order not to make them suspicious, Yimo started to shiver and walk slower too. Just when Yimo was considering how long he should keep up the act, he saw a big, black, stone hall. There was something in it, 2 football-sized eggs on the middle of a stone table. There was a dark barrier around it, protecting the stone table. This was probably the golden magical goo egg. This dark barrier was a defensive formation which was powered by spirit stones, but the spirit stones didn't have enough spirit power, so the barrier was dark-colored. Probably every 50 years, people from the sect would attack this barrier for the 2 big eggs. Yimo knew that there didn't even need to be 5 people. Any one of them could easily break it. The barrier wouldn't last long anymore, even if they left it alone. Since he was here, he decided to keep up the act. Yimo jumped into the stone room immediately. The other 5 all had their attention caught by the golden magical goo and entered as well. They ignored Yimo and surrounded the barrier. This is the egg of the magical goo? It's so big. Feng Yinchi said in shock and then stood obediently on the side as she looked at Ji-Lai. Ji-Lai saw everyone look at him, and he nodded. I'll have a look. He took out a double-sided axe and smashed at the barrier. The people watched in shock as the barrier immediately cracked. They were all dumbfounded. They didn't even work together. How did this barrier break? After the barrier broke, more frost winds started blowing from the crack, and the stone room got even colder. At this moment, Ji-Lai suddenly sneered and took out 4 gus which he squished into a pulp. Marshall Brotherly screamed and rolled around on the ground, clearly due to his life goo dying. Meanwhile, that Ren Shi and Wengu just spat some blood. On the other hand, Feng Yinchi was fine, as though it wasn't her goo at all. Yimo thought. So Ji-Lai did know that they had released their goo at him. However, Ren Shi and Wengu didn't spit essence blood, so they had planned for this. Meanwhile, that Marshall brother Li seemed to be truly injured. Then, Ji-Lai sneered at the 4, We haven't even gotten the golden magical goo yet, and you've already teamed up against me. No wonder there are less and less sect members nowadays. It's because of people like you. That Martial Brotherly knew he had lost all his cultivation, and he struggled to point at Feng Yinqi. Feng Yinqi, you be asterisk T, you betrayed us. Feng Yinqi looked calm. Martial Brotherly, why do you only call me out? Martial Brotherly said hatefully, all three of us are injured, while only you are fine. You dash Feng Yinqi looked at Martial Brotherly in contempt. If I say that Martial Sister Wan and Martial Brotherin didn't even spit their own blood, will you get more angry? Martial Brotherly suddenly stopped and looked at Wengu and Ranshi, who didn't say anything. He opened his mouth wide open. Then, he spat more blood and fainted. Jilai suddenly pulled of his mask, showing his crater-like face, and clapped his hands. How fun! You guys joined up against me. But in the end, the three of you didn't use your life goo and let Li Buqing suffer greatly. Feng Yinqi smiled sweetly. Li Buqing didn't understand his own position. I've never thought of harming Elder Martial Brother. I know Elder Martial Brother is all too powerful. I might as well commit suicide instead of trying to harm Martial Brother. Chapter 824. The Final Winner. Chapter 824. The Final Winner. I would never attack Big Martial Brother. If something happened to our Big Martial Brother, then all Goo sect would be over. I feel it's better to let Big Martial Brother have the golden magical goo, Renshi said. Then, he glanced at Li Buqing and sneered. You're just a clown. HMPF. When Goo sneered unhappily, she looked at Jilai and said, I just want one egg. I'll leave immediately. Jilai heard this and took out a bright red goo. He said to her coldly, One, you old hag, I've dealt with you for a long time. Don't you see that I can easily squeeze your life away? As soon as Wengu saw the goo bug in Jilai's hands, her face changed drastically and she started shivering. Yimo knew that Wengu had let out 2 goo bugs, while Jilai had just killed 4, which meant that there was one more. You forced out the same heart goo? What were your words that day? We all swore that if anyone used the same heart goo to hurt the other, we would be burned to death. You went against your oath. When Goo was shaking with anger, Yimo had heard of this goo before. It needed a man and woman who loved each other to plant it. It was said to be very hard to pull out. Jilai sneered. That's right. I made an oath. But I said that whoever revokes the oath will be burned to death by fire without root. However, I've only heard of water without root, not fire without root. So, do you think my words are meaningful? You're so hideous, Wengu said. Jilai looked at her in contempt. What oath did you make? You clearly heard my oath, but you said that if you went against the oath, you would be like me. You scorpion-hearted woman. In order for me to give my virginity to you, you used a goo to eat everything on my face, making me what I am now. Do you think I don't know? Shameless be asterisk tsich. Even without the golden magical goo, I will still kill you. Jilai kept talking. Name a man in the All-Goo sect who you've slept with that didn't get their face ruined. Xue Sihu, Yin Wuliang, Kong Shaolai. Can you count them all? I'm going to kill you. Wengu suddenly jumped up and charged at Jilai. However, Yimo could feel that although she seemed very angry, she was very calm. Jilai didn't seem to see her attack, and he just gently squeezed the goo in his hand. Arg! A cry sounded. Yet what shook everyone, including Yimo, was that the one howling was Jilai, not Wengu. What was going on? While Jilai was rolling on the ground, Wengu took out a whip and sliced Jilai's arm off. Jilai went next to Ranshi in order to dodge Wenwu. Ranshi, who had just said he would never attack his big martial brother, took out a curved sword immediately and stabbed Jilai in the back. Jilai knew that he wouldn't be able to dodge it completely. He could only make sure it wouldn't damage his vitals. However, the hack still landed on Jilai. Renshi was going to attack again, seeing that it hadn't caused a fatal wound. However, before he could, Jilai kicked him from a weird angle. Jilai's kick landed right on Renshi's chest, sending him flying onto the wall. He landed crashing down and spitting mouthfuls of blood. Feng Yanqi, who was about to move, suddenly stopped, which gave some room for Jilai to breathe. He leaned against the corner of the wall and stabilized himself. Seeing that Feng Yanqi hadn't taken her best chance, Gu looked coldly at her. Why didn't you attack? We had an agreement. Feng Yinchi couldn't say a complete sentence, as though she was truly scared. Only Yimo could tell that she was lying. Her chi was calm. Yimo knew that she was smart. If she had attacked just then, she could have indeed thrown a heavy blow to Ji-Lai. However, Ji-Lai's counterattack would have rendered her no better than Ran Shi's. If that had happened, she'd be dead. Gu, you're waiting for me to injure Yinchi, and then take all the benefit for yourself. Ji-Lai took a few pills and stared coldly at her. I know I fell for it today, but I want to know, since when can you force out the same heart Gu? Don't you want to ask me when I planted the Gu in your body? Gu scorned. Ji-Lai sneered. No need. I was too careless. You planted 2 Gu when I came, including your own same heart Gu inside my body. You Gu master skills exceed mine by far. Gu's expression sunk down. She stared at Ji-Lai for a long time before saying, Martial brother Ji, I never did anything wrong to you in the past, yet you betrayed me again and again. I killed one after the other, but then I realized that my hands were getting sore from killing your women. You had too many. You made a fake oath, and you even forced out your same heart Gu. Gu seemed to be reminiscing and said, I realized the day you forced out the same heart Gu. I hid outside your room, watching UF*CK another woman, hearing your sinister curses against me. I wanted to kill you immediately, but I knew that if I appeared, you wouldn't even need to attack me. You would just have to kill my same heart Gu to kill me. From that day, I swore that I would make you die from your same heart Gu. Gee, now you may die. Ji-Lai looked like he had given up hope. He was heavily injured and facing Gu's full-powered strike. He would die for sure. However, he still fought for a chance. He spat out more blood while a dark gray Gu charged at Gu. No one except for Yimo knew that Gu had suddenly turned around, so the whip hit Feng Yinchi. Feng Yinchi was holding her weapon already, ready to ambush Gu. Gu would get heavily injured too if she tried to kill Ji-Lai, so she only needed to predict Gu's exit to be able to kill her. After that ambush, she would be the only one there with the power to take the golden magical Gu. Feng Yinchi didn't think Gu would let a big enemy go attack a noob like her. The whip hit Feng Yinchi's chest, and the clothes in front of her chest were immediately torn open. A deep cut reached from her shoulder all the way to her leg. Feng Yinchi was thrown onto the wall without resistance and fell on the ground. Her face was white. Soon, blood seeped out of the wound, which turned into a dark red color. Feng Yinchi covered her wound, but she knew that wasn't enough to stop the bleeding. There seemed to be relief in her eyes. Gu had just pulled her whip from Feng Yinchi when Ji-Lai's Gu snuck inside her body. She took a few steps back and spat out some blood immediately. Then, she tore open her chest and took out a Gu. She put it in her mouth and munched it immediately. The Gu was pulverized and Ji-Lai spat more blood, falling on the ground. Ha ha ha, I'm going to let you all see who the final winner is. It's me. It's me. Gu laughed, but she suddenly stopped. She was kicked in the air and thrown into Ji-Lai's arms. She spat more blood and some pieces of organs, and looked back in disbelief at Li Buqing. Li Buqing got up slowly and said quietly, the final winner should be me. Chapter 825. Yimo's Legend. Chapter 825. Yimo's Legend, Li Chongqing. You bastard. You used another Gu to fake your life Gu. Gu pointed at Li Chongqing shaking in anger. She wasn't even able to get up and get separated from Ji-Lai. Those two worst enemies hugged each other even before their death. Li Chongqing bowed and showed a warm smile. Martial Sister One, you've wronged me by saying that. I really did use my life Gu, but I long found out how to plant 2 life Gu inside my body. The satisfaction on Li Chongqing's face was obvious. Great, great. I always thought that I was the #1 Gu master in all Gu sect since I was able to force out the same heart Gu, but the real master is you. Ji-Lai was shaking. Li Chongqing saluted with his fists and said, Thank you for your recognition, martial brother. After martial brothers and sisters go to the immortal world, I will bring all Gu sect to its peak with the golden magical Gu. It was as though he was actually thanking martial brother Ji for his compliment. Then, Li Chongqing picked up the curved sword on the ground. He walked to Ren Shi and cut his head off. Li Chongqing was very astute, Yimo thought. He knew that although Ri Shi was unconscious, if he had woken up, perhaps he would have been the strongest there. Then, Li Chongqing didn't go kill Jilai or Wangu. He walked up to Yimo theoretically. Yimo supposed the smallest threat. Li Chongqing was too careful. Emoing, sorry I harmed you. I shouldn't have taken you here, unexpectedly Feng Yanqing said. It was clear that she didn't have long to live. Then she said to Li Chongqing, Marshal brotherly, kill me first. I have wanted to stop living for long. Li Chongqing smiled. Don't worry, Marshal Sitter Feng. I still need to do something with you before you can die. You have great essence blood on you. Can't I give it to someone else? At this moment, everyone realized that if Li Chongqing wanted to do things with Feng Yanqi, he had to kill Yimo first. Then, Li Chongqing turned to Wengu and said, Marshal Sister One, don't worry. If I can break through, I will also have some fun with you. I really want to know if your body is like your face after I strip you. But even if it is, I wouldn't mind. Yimo felt disgusted. Li Chongqing was already odd-looking, and he had such a weird taste. He even liked a tree-skinned woman like Wengu. The Algu sect members were all queers. But Yimo was curious about Feng Yanqi's words. He got up, as though he could no longer feel the cold. He didn't even look at Li Chongqing, and he said to Feng Yanqi, I don't think you're such a kind-hearted person. That night, you sucked Chen Yinzhu dry to reach Earth level, and then you dumped him off the cliff. I don't see you being soft-hearted at all. The second day, you sucked Gul Yangzhong dry in a cave, and you were very decisive too. Why did you say sorry today? That's not your character. Then, Yimo shook his head as though he really didn't understand. When he said this, everyone froze and stared at Yimo, who had spoken so casually and fearlessly. After a long while, Feng Yanqi said in shock, You're no ordinary person indeed. That night, I didn't even know you were watching. Just who are you? Feng Yanqi was a little fearful, even though she knew she was about to die. She had been enjoying a man when she hadn't even noticed someone else was watching on the side. He had even seen the specific details of what she had done. Was he a ghost? How could someone like that be scared of her? No wonder he was so calm. Just who are you? Li Chongqing stopped and looked at Yimo vigilantly. Yimo said plainly, more than 10 years ago, I killed someone called Ren Sha in Hong Kong, and then some Yin Wuliang on the sea. A few days ago by the Yin River, I killed Hong Guangping. I heard they're all from the Algu sect, so in order to avoid seeing trash like them again, I came here to kill them all. Pity, I didn't even need to do anything, and you guys solved the problem. You're Yimo? The four of them called out at the same time. Li Chongqing started to shiver. He knew he was less than an insect in Yimo's eyes. That's right. I'm Yimo. Yimo's reply made them sink into an ice hole. Feng Yanqi knew she was going to die, so she didn't care that much. However, Wengu, Jilai, and Li Chongqing, whom all had other cards, froze their thoughts. In China, no, in the entire world, there were so many legends about Yimo. Almost all powers who went against him were annihilated, no matter how powerful or strong they were. Yimo not only dominated the entire ancient martial arts world, he also had built his own country, beating the strongest country in the world too. Among the big families and powers in the world, as well as the hidden sects, the #1 rule was to not mess with Yimo. Li Chongqing and the others hadn't lived in seclusion, hence they knew what Yimo had done recently. He had gone missing for more than 10 years, and the first thing he had done when he came back was to pull out the Dongfang family from the roots of Luoyu. Then, he had taken the strongest ancient martial arts cultivation method away in front of all the hidden sections. Yet, no one in the world dared to have any thoughts about it. Only Yimo could make people stop in front of such treasure. A few days ago, Northern Sand had also been pulled out from its roots. All the hierarchy system got slaughtered and cleaned. It was said that the original government took control of the country again. The first thing the government had done was to establish good relations with Luoyu. The Northern Sand that had dominated the world for decades got annihilated in one night. Not only that, even the Northern Sand King was said to have been killed by Yimo. One could see Yimo's power, and yet he had gone there. Li Chongqing and the others knew that no matter what, they wouldn't be able to escape from Yimo. Clank. Li Chongqing dropped the curved sword and kneeled to Yimo. He didn't even have the courage to resist. Yi Qinbei, have mercy. I'm willing to be your dog. If you tell me to go east, I will never go west. Li Chongqing had all sorts of plans, but none of them were useful there. He finally realized that in the wake of absolute power, schemes were useless. His only hope was that Yi Mo would let him work for him. Yi Mo sneered. Without explaining, a wind blade sliced Li Chongqing's head off. Hot blood spewed out, and it soon turned into ice. So he was Yi Mo. Feng Yinqi laughed to herself. No wonder she couldn't see his power. Chapter 826. Change of the Big Egg. Chapter 826. Change of the Big Egg. Yi Mo's decisive kill made the icy room even colder. Jilai took a few pills and recovered a little. He then said coarsely to Yi Mo, Yi Qinbei, I've never had any conflict with Yi Qinbei. If you need these 2 eggs, take them. If I hear Qinbei's name, I will immediately leave as far as possible. If Qinbei has anything for me to do, just order me and I will do it immediately. Do you want me to spare your life? Yi Mo said coldly. Yes, yes, please have mercy, Qinbei. Jilai was about to reach great heaven. Of course he didn't want to die. However, he saw Yi Mo take out a bottle and let out a small bug. He stopped talking at once. He knew all too well what Yi Mo had poured out. It was a pill goo, and one that he had released. Do you know this? Yi Mo placed it on the ground and asked coldly. Jilai saw Yi Mo's cold eyes and knew that he might die due to it. Before Jilai could reply, Yi Mo said coldly, 13 years ago, you killed everyone at a May mosque and you injured a woman with a child. Then, you planted this pill goo on that child. That woman is my wife and the child is my daughter. Jilai, you tell me if I should let you go. Huh. Jilai's heart turned cold. If he had known that was the case, he would have rather gone somewhere else than take essence blood at a May mosque. Jilai thought about the situation. He was going to die, so he might as well try before he died. But before he could use his qi, a ball of fire had surrounded him and Wengu. He saw clearly that the fire came from Yi Mo's hands, and the burning sensation sank him into desperation. Ha 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 ha. Wengu laughed as though she didn't feel she was going to die at all. She pointed at Jilai and screeched, Fire with no root. There really is fire with no root. This is karma. Karma. Ha 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 ha. Jilai was shook. He was indeed surrounded by fire with no root. The fire Yi Mo had sent out had no fuel and appeared straight in the air. It was fire with no root. Oath, oath. Jilai wanted to laugh. Seeing the 2 burn in the fire, Feng Yinqi murmured, Karma? Is there really karma? Then why did the heavens abandon me? Why? When I was raped and treated like a dog, where was karma? I don't believe it. I don't believe karma. This world is a cannibalistic world. If I don't devour others, others will devour me. Brother, I'm going to join you. Feng Yinqi's voice quieted and stopped. Yi Mo could tell she had died. She seemed to have had a tragic past that made her what she was today. Yi Mo sighed. He sent a few more fireballs, turning all the bodies into ashes before looking at the broken barrier. Golden magical goo egg? Yi Mo looked at the ball-sized eggs and was doubtful. Goo eggs were usually grain-sized. Yi Mo used a few wind blades, and the barrier disappeared completely. The stone room grew even colder. Yi Mo was sure that the frigidness came from the goo eggs. How could 2 goo eggs make the room that cold? Yi Mo really wanted to know what they were. Yi Mo walked up to the table and picked one up. That bone-piercing cold invaded Yi Mo's body. It was so cold that Yi Mo almost dropped the egg. He quickly ran his cultivation essence to relieve the piercing coldness. An ordinary person would have been turned into a block of ice. Yi Mo couldn't tell what this thing was, but he knew that the person who had set this formation was definitely a mighty being. Yi Mo studied the egg for a long time, but he couldn't discern what it was. He carefully pierced his spirit sense into the egg, but it was immediately blocked. Yi Mo scanned the other egg too and had the same outcome. Just what is this? Yi Mo murmured to himself and then shook his head. He decided to put the 2 eggs into his ring and research it later. However, what shook Yi Mo was that he couldn't put them in. He couldn't even put them into the golden page world. Yi Mo grabbed the 2 eggs. He wanted to force them inside, but when he put cultivation essence on his hand, It was sucked in by the egg without resistance. Later, even though he wasn't running his cultivation essence through it, the egg kept sucking his cultivation essence. Not good. Emo immediately sent out his flying sword. He wanted to slice it off his hands. It didn't matter if he broke the egg. His life was more valuable. However, Emo realized that his spirit sense couldn't control the flying sword. He couldn't mobilize his spirit sense either. No matter what he did, he couldn't move, and his cultivation essence and spirit sense were being drained into the egg incessantly. Half a day later, Emo felt like he was getting frozen and still couldn't move. Emo cursed, but there was nothing he could do. Suddenly, he noticed an explosive feeling coming from the table. Emo knew that it was a self-destruction formation. If the formation was broken before its time had gone up, the formation would detonate the energy stored beforehand. However, Emo couldn't leave. He could only hope that the formation's energy was depleted so much that even the self-destruction wouldn't affect him much. Then, he heard a rumble and a huge explosion. Everything around the stone room started to collapse. Emo breathed at ease. The stone room didn't collapse, and he could still live. 10 kilometers from the Algu Mountain, a woman in her 20s carried a huge herb basket on her back and collected herbs there. A huge explosion made her stop and look into the distance. Chapter 8:27. You're my only friend? Chapter 8:27. You're my only friend. Even if Emo could see her at that moment, he might not realize that the girl was Nie Shuangshuang. She no longer had the seductive and feeble look she had in Beijing. Instead, she had her hair tied in a braid and looked like a village girl. She no longer had that bleak and killing temperament. Instead, she had a spiritual-like temperament similar to truth cultivators. A few years ago, she had gone to Nanjiang, but she hadn't been able to find Emo. However, she found a spirit well, and she settled near there. If Emo had been there, he would have seen that Nie Shuangshuang was at Qi Gathering Peak. The past few years of using the spirit well to cultivate had made her face stay the same, or perhaps look even younger. In a short period of 5 years, she had gone from stage 4 to peak, showing how powerful her talent was. Perhaps she would have gotten to Foundation Establishment State peak if she had had someone to teach her the Foundation Establishment State cultivation method. Nie Shuangshuang saw the explosion and immediately made her way over there. She had been living in the mountains for many years and knew it was the Wanchu Mountain. Even the Miao Jiang people rarely went in so deep into the mountain. Why were there explosions? She arrived at where Emo was in a very short time and saw the collapsed cave. Nie Shuangshuang scanned her spirit sense in. Although her spirit sense wasn't as powerful as Emo's, it was still nearly 5 kilometers long. She didn't see anything until she reached her spirit sense underground and saw an unconscious Emo. Her face changed drastically. Although she hadn't seen him for more than 10 years, she recognized Emo immediately. Although Nie Shuangshuang knew that Emo didn't really like her and looked down on her, she had never forgotten Emo. Moreover, for Emo, she had left Nine Moon sect at all costs. At the start, she was attracted to Emo's fresh and clean sheet. Then, Emo saved her life twice and she could never forget him again. She knew that he had saved her at the Yin River. Other than Emo, she had no friends at all. Despite Emo just having fed her a pill and leaving her by herself, she wasn't unhappy at all. She was very grateful that Emo had used a precious pill to save her. When the Nine Moon sect was laid to waste, she didn't see who saved her either, but she knew it had been Emo. Nie Pai wouldn't have been good enough to leave her the Nine Moon evergreen chant and her life. Other than Emo, who would do that? When she got the chant, she immediately found a place to cultivate. It was very hard to start. However, due to her talent, she felt Qi on the first day and went into Qi Gathering middle stage after a few years, without anyone teaching her anything on this spirit Qi-deprived earth. After she found out Emo was missing, she went around looking for him. She had been to Luoyu countless times. Then, she went to Nanjiang, found a spirit well there, and cultivated to Qi Gathering Peak. When she saw Emo, without hesitation she put down her herb basket and started digging through the collapsed rocks with a curved sword. It was very easy for her and soon, she got to where Emo was. Immediately, She felt a bone-piercing coldness and couldn't help to shiver. Emo was covered in ice. Even his hair was white. His lips were purple. Nye Shuang immediately could tell that Emo was about to die. The threat seemed to be the two huge eggs in the center of his hand. She held Yemo's wrist and started sending cultivation essence into Yemo's body. Yemo immediately felt his hand get warmer, but he realized things weren't good. "Get out quickly!" Yemo yelled at Nye Shuang. Nye Shuang was dazed. She thought Yemo was cultivating something, and instead she had disturbed him. But the next moment, Nye Shuang's face changed. She found out that not only had she not pushed the egg away, but she was also stuck in peril. Her cultivation essence also flowed into the egg. Yemo looked at Nye Shuang and sighed. "It's over. Brother Yi, what is this thing? Why is it sucking my inner qi?" Nye Shuang asked in shock. "Sorry, Nye Shuang, I got you into this." Yemo realized that if even he couldn't get away from this, much less Nye Shuang. He could tell that Nye Shuang was at qi gathering peak, but her cultivation essence was far from as powerful as his. To be honest, it couldn't even be called cultivation essence. It was at most cultivation qi. She would have to reach foundation establishment state before she could turn it into cultivation essence. After all, not every cultivation method was the three-birth chant. "Brother Yi, why are you here?" Nye Shuang calmed down. She knew she was in the same peril as Yemo. Yemo spat out the ice near his mouth and said, "I went to a bar in Beijing to find you, and the people said you weren't there. So I came to Nanjiang. I happened to have some business to do here, and I was planning to look for you afterwards. But now, you found me instead, and you're also at Qi Gathering Peak. Brother Yi, you really went looking for me?" Nye Shuang had sparkles in her eyes after hearing this. It was as though it was the happiest thing for her that Yemo had gone looking for her. But Nye Shuang, how did you reach Qi Gathering Peak?" Nye Shuang's lips were turning purple in such a short time, but she didn't seem to realize the danger she was in. She said happily, "Brother Yi, just call me Shuang. I went to look for you to Nanjiang, and I found a well that can allow me to cultivate very fast. So I've been cultivating there." "A spirit well?" Yemo said in shock. There really was spirit well on that planet? But when he remembered their predicament, Yemo got dejected. There was nothing he could do. Seeing this, Nye Shuang quickly said, "Brother Yi, don't feel guilty. You've saved me a few times, yet this time I wasn't able to save you. I'm very happy that I can even help you a little bit." If Nye Shuang hadn't been there, he wouldn't have even been able to talk. But then he immediately realized that he had never told her he had saved her twice. "How did she know? How do you know I saved you?" Yemo asked at once. Nye Shuang smiled. "Because I've been very lonely in the past and I had no friends. You were my only friend. Other than you, no one would save me," Nye Shuang said, shivering. "Friend?" Yemo felt bad. In Nye Shuang's heart, he was her only friend, yet he had never thought of her as a friend. Chapter 828. The Incident at Xianjiang Mountain. Chapter 828. The incident at Xianjiang Mountain. Before, Nye Shuang was at most someone he knew. But after finding out that she had opened a bar at Beijing just for him, his impression of her changed. "Brother Yi, I'm very happy that you saved me. Ha ha ha. After that, I realized you didn't like me killing people, so I haven't killed anyone since. Ha ha ha." Nye Shuang felt the frost qi invading her dantian. She knew that if things continued like that, she wouldn't last for long. Yet she realized she didn't regret being able to die by Yemo's side. "Sorry," Yemo apologized again. Nye Shuang smiled sweetly. That innocent smile made her look very holy. She looked at Yemo and said shakily, "Brother Yi, I already told you. It was my own decision. You don't need to apologize." Yemo looked at her and said in guilt, "The reason I'm saying sorry is because although I saved you twice, I did it casually. I didn't intentionally go save you. I didn't think of you as a friend at the time." Although he knew that Nye Shuang would be very disappointed, he still chose to tell the truth. He would let her understand that from now on, she was his friend. Unexpectedly, Nye Shuang said calmly, Brother Yi, I can, Know that at that time you already thought of me as a friend. I will never feel lonely with you. Nie Shuangshuang's voice was getting lower and lower until it eventually disappeared. Her eyelids closed, and even at the last moment, she still firmly believed that the reason Yimo had saved her twice was because he thought of her as a friend. It felt like he could still hear her voice by his ear, but Yimo knew that her chi had disappeared. Seeing Nie Shuangshuang lean on him and not move, Yimo was shaking. He had not been ready for that woman to die for him. He could no longer control the tidal wave in his heart. Arg! Yimo howled and burnt his essence blood. He knew that when he finished burning it, he would be close to death. However, even if he was to die, he would build a beautiful place for her. He would let her know that she was his friend. He wasn't going to let her be lonely anymore. The egg spun rapidly after Yimo started burning his essence blood. Just when Yimo spat more blood, he felt the golden, but above his dantian starting to spin. The golden page world was spinning? The two eggs were getting colder and colder, but the cold stream started to flow into Yimo's golden page world. Yimo couldn't control both items. Rumble, Yimo felt his brain shake, and when he opened his eyes again, he saw he had appeared in the golden page world. That egg was still that cold. Nie Shuangshuang was still by his side. She had gone to the golden page world too, but her hands had left the huge egg behind. It was the second time he was there, but he wasn't Foundation Establishment State yet. Yimo realized that it might be due to him being about to die. The golden page seemed to save his life every time he was about to die. Yimo detested the egg that had caused Nie Shuangshuang to be like that. I will spirit control you. When the frosty flow flowed into the golden page world through him, Yimo took a small strand and started to seep his spirit chi into it to control it. Luoying, Ning Qingxue, and the other had been in the small world for more than a month. They had completely understood what Yimo had done there. Compared to his blood-boiling battles, they cared more about what sort of woman Mu Xiaoyun was. They had looked for more than a month and used the Magical Merchant Association to put out countless notices, but they hadn't gotten any news from Yimo. From Yunzi, they had found out that Yimo had asked for large amounts of formation texts and then disappeared for a few years. When Yunzi knew that these women were Yimo's family, she tried even more to get on their good side. She had finally understood why Yimo wasn't interested in her. Any of Yimo's wives was far better than her. The only comfort she had was she seemed to be a little prettier than Luo Fei. Sister Luoying and Qingxue, do you think that we might have come in when brother went out? Tang Beiwei asked. Yunzi shook her head and said, probably not. Brother Yi had already disappeared for a few years. If he had gone out, he would have gone to find you first. Yet he didn't, which means that he didn't go out. Just when they were agreeing with Yunzi, the manager arrived and gave a small wax pill to Yunzi. Yunzi opened it and immediately got up. What's going on? Tang Beiwei asked. Someone found an ancient ruin on the Xianjiao mountain. After going in, they saw a teleportation formation. The formation had started running. Yunzi said quickly. Luoying looked at Yunzi in shock. Do you know about teleportation formations? Yunzi nodded. Yes, our family had one to the outside world, but it exploded. My father left through there and still hasn't come back. Ning Qingxue heard this and immediately looked joyful. She quickly said, Z, that teleportation formation goes to the outside? Yunzi nodded. Yes. Tang Beiwei immediately said desperately, then let's quickly go see. Perhaps brother left through that formation. Seeing the four women leave hurriedly, Yunzi quickly called, wait for me. When Yunzi got taken on the flying sword, she realized that they all could fly. Although she was very excited and wanted to learn it, she knew she couldn't ask directly. An hour later, they arrived at Xianjiao Mountain and found there were already a lot of people. Jimei, you're here. Why isn't Brother Yi here too? A blue-shirt man came to the teleportation formation and asked a beautiful woman. Jimei raised an eyebrow. She realized that it was Fu Wu, the person who had saved her with Yimo. She saluted. It's Brother Fu. Brother Yi had a lot of things to do, so he left alone. So that's the case. The blue-shirt man frowned. He was suspicious. Jimei was Yimo's maid. How could she be at Xianjiao Mountain? Brother, May I ask the full name of the brother you just spoke about? Tang Beiwei had sharp ears and immediately asked. Seeing that these were all very beautiful women, Fu Wu saluted. A friend I met. His name is Yimo. What? Where is Yimo? The women surrounded him. Fu Wu looked at Jimei. She had been the last one to see Yimo, not him. Jia, Mei could only say. After brother Yi took me to Xian Jiao Mountain, he disappeared. So I've been cultivating here since. You're saying Yimo has been here before? Luoying immediately asked. Jimei looked at Luoying. She felt like that woman, who was prettier than her, would definitely not be weaker than her. Chapter 829. Teleport activated. Chapter 829. Teleport activated the moment that the Xian Jiao Mountain teleportation formation got activated. The Duan Hong Range's 7-star formation emitted faint rays of light. The rays seemed to be weak and only one star was shining properly. But soon, all the 7 peaks started to emit a faint light, and not long after it formed a big spoon. As the light got sucked in by the huge rock, the light on the Tian Ko position became brighter and brighter and eventually formed a big round image. If Yimo has been there, he would have known that the 7-star formation had repaired itself and that had been fully activated. The fact that it had been activated was quickly spread among the hidden sects people. Jiuming Academy and the Chinese government joined together to control this place. Although the outer hidden sects people didn't know what it was, since a few scientists had disappeared in its inside, they realized that it could be a formation to the inner hidden sections. Zheng Zhengxia and Caiji, who knew about the small world thanks to Yimo, immediately went into the small world. With this, more and more people started going in. After seeing Yimo's power, the hidden sects people has realized that their power could only dominate the mortal world. If they wanted to reach higher states, they would have to go other places. The Chinese government controlled the site, but no one knew if it was a teleportation formation for sure because all the people who had gone in had disappeared. No one reported back. But even with the government's control, people kept going in, as they were hidden sects people. Not even the Heaven Squad supported the government. These news soon spread all over the hidden sects, and Luo Yu got news of it too. Sister Ling, my dad hasn't been back for 2 months. Do you think he went to the small world too? I think my dad went to look for the other 2 Andes. Yimo was already at stage 2 now. Song Yangzhu quickly said. Yimo poked her tongue out. Looking at the happy Song Yangzhu and Yimo, Su Jingwen was a little sad. She had realized that the only person in the world she would ever be interested in was Yimo. She would rather live alone forever than find someone to cope with. For the first time, Su Jingwen wanted to not see Yimo again. Yi Ling stared uneasily at Su Jingwen and Qi Wanqing inside. She took out 2 jade bottles and gave these to them. Sister Jingwen, Wanqing, when my brother left, he told me to leave these pills for you. He said he was looking for you too. However, you came here on your own, which means that he wasn't able to find you. The face-preserving pill? Su Jingwen got up excitedly. Yi Ling, did your brother really leave this behind? Did he actually say he was looking for us? It was something truly special since Yimo had left it for them. Yi Ling nodded firmly. Her brother had left these for her, but she didn't need them. Hence, she might as well give them to those 2. After Qi Wanqing heard these words, her face was immediately filled with joy. She hadn't thought Yimo would still remember her. She didn't know if Yimo still kept what she had given him, but her fatigue was swept away. Song Yangzhu also sighed. Compared to these 2, she was extremely lucky. She knew that if that accident hadn't happened and she hadn't had Yimo, she would never be with him. Song Yangzhu suddenly felt grateful for that accident. If it hadn't been for that, she would have never met someone like Yimo and never known about cultivation, nor know the feeling of being protected by a husband. Song Yangzhu finally understood why Luoying and Ning Qingxue had gone into the small world to find Yimo, because they couldn't bear to be without him. Yimo was unique. Su Jingwen and Qi Wanqing each had had a unique experience with Yimo and understood that he was irreplaceable. No other guy in the world would touch their hearts like Yimo had. No matter if he was willing or not, she would ask Yimo personally. While they were still chatting, Su Yuehua rushed to the Luoyu mansion. She had just reached Great Heaven and heard about the formation to the small world, so she immediately went there. Sister Yuehua. Song Yangzhu got up quickly. Su Yuehua said desperately. A teleportation formation to the small world appeared in the Duanheng ranges. Are you guys going? Su Yuehua had given her job away and focused on cultivation. Hence, she was immediately interested as soon as she heard about the small world. I still want to wait for Yemo to come back and ask him. Song Yangzhu hesitated and said. Although she suspected that Yemo had gone in too, she still wanted to wait. What if he hadn't? Yiling said, Sister-in-law Yangzhu, I suspect that my brother went inside. He has been out for 2 months, but he isn't back yet. He should have been very fast. Perhaps my brother opened the portal? But I think we should still wait for a while. He always leaves for long periods of time. Su Yuehua calmed down after the initial excitement. She realized that Song Yangzhu and Yiling didn't want to leave Luoyu for now, but she didn't have anything there. Pursuing the highest state of cultivation was her only goal. Thinking about this, Su Yuehua said firmly, even if you're all not going, I'm still going. I don't have anything to do now anyways. I'll go around and have a look in the small world. If things don't work out, I'll come back. Sister Yuehua, I'll go with you. Unexpectedly, Su Jingwen got up. Me too, Qi Wanqing also said firmly. She had decided to follow Yemo's footsteps. Chapter 830. Frost turns into bed. Chapter 830. Frost turns into bed. Su Jingwen was no longer the same person after starting truth cultivation. She understood a lot about Yemo, how he could save people using runic paper, and why he was able to make magic artifacts. Since he could do it, so could she. She wanted to be able to stand at Yemo's height one day and tell him what she had always wanted to say. Although she began liking him due to his power, it was nothing related to that now. When Yemo took the first stream of frost, he immediately felt his organs getting frozen too. It was as though if he breathed once, his lungs would shatter. He had to try to spirit control the frost streams before his essence blood got used up. While enduring the coldness, Yemo rejoiced that he had only taken 1 stream, since he would have frozen to death immediately if he had taken too many. Under the control of his spirit sense and cultivation essence, the frost stream was being gradually marked by him. Yemo found in joy that his cultivation essence was starting to grow slowly after he spirit controlled the frost streams. Every bit he spirit controlled, his organs would feel a little warmer and his essence blood would return a little. Did this mean that if he kept spirit controlling the frost stream, the essence blood he had burnt would return? Thinking about this, Yemo resisted the pain and started trying his best to spirit control the frost stream. An hour later, Yemo found that he had completely spirit controlled the frost stream. It turned into a small white spot, like 1/10 the size of a sesame seed. He felt as though he could control the small white spot at his will. Yemo rejoiced. If he turned the spot to the size of a fist, how powerful would it be as a weapon? Yemo continued to spirit control more streams of frost. As he spirit controlled more, the white dot grew bigger and bigger, turning from white to gray and then a dark gray. Yemo also noticed that as his essence blood rejuvenated, a sliver of origin power was injected into his essence blood. After some time, Yemo woke up and found that all the ice on him had disappeared. He was no longer cold. He seemed to have controlled the frost flow between the golden page world and the ice egg. Yemo looked at the lychee-sized dark gray ball in his golden page world and reached out to it. The ball immediately came to his hand and emitted a bone-chilling frigidness. But he could still control it completely. Yemo wanted to test the ball's power, but he saw Nya Shuang, who laid peacefully on the side, and no longer had the mood to do so. The frost on her had also disappeared, but she was no longer breathing. Although he knew he couldn't save her, Yemo still placed a lotus life pill in her mouth. It melted immediately, yet after a long while, Nya Shuang still wasn't moving. Yemo sighed. He took out many jade stones and made a jade bed for her. Yemo laid Nya Shuang on it and kept the bed in the golden page world. Despite not sensing her soul in his spirit sense, Yemo still put his only Insha bead next to her, hoping that he would be able to one day find enough top-grade spirit stones to make a house for her in the golden page world. The two big eggs were still in a corner of the golden page world. Yimo didn't have time to completely spirit since the frost chi inside. He had to go back to Luoyu as soon as possible. He made a jade box and placed the two eggs inside before leaving the golden page world. He knew that the next time he was back, he would be at Foundation Establishment State. Yimo arrived at the stone room again after leaving the golden page world. His cultivation essence was abundant, so he returned to the entrance of the cave. There was an old herb basket laying next to the entrance. All the herbs had dried up after all this time. Yimo picked it up and found a pink bag. Inside there were some of her clothes, a jade and the 9-moon evergreen chant. The two things that he had left for her had come back to him again. Yimo put the herb basket away and dashed towards Luoyu on his flying sword with a sunken mood. Song Yangzhu hadn't been able to calm down to cultivate the past few days. A week ago, Su Jingguin, Qi Wanqing, Su Yuehua, and Yimo had all gone into the small world. What made her worry was that the formation's radiance was getting weaker and weaker, which meant that in some time, it would be impossible to go there anymore. Yangzhu. Yimo found Song Yangzhu immediately when he got back to Luoyu Lake and landed next to her. However, he only saw Yiling cultivating and not Yimo. Song Yangzhu was dazed. She heard his voice, and she immediately realized that Yimo had come back. She ran up to him at once and embraced him. "What's wrong? Where's Yimo?" Yimo asked. Song Yangzhu soon told him what had happened. What Yimo didn't get was how could the small world open up itself? "What do we do?" Song Yangzhu asked. "Brother." Yiling also ran over when she heard the voices. Yimo was worried about Yimo. Luoying and the others were at Qi gathering tertiary stage, and he wasn't too worried. However, Yimo had only cultivated for 3 months, and she was so innocent. Luckily, Su Yuehua was a heaven-level master. "Don't worry." Yimo patted her shoulders and said, "I'll make some pills tonight, and we'll go to the small world tomorrow." "Brother, can I go with you guys?" Yiling asked worriedly. Everyone had left. If her brother left too, she would be by herself in Luoying. Yimo hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Okay, you can come with me. I'll help you make the 5-essence pill tonight and try to get you a spirit root so you can cultivate too." Yimo was planning on letting the two women stay there and cultivate, but after seeing their faces, he knew that wasn't plausible. Song Yangzhu breathed at ease. She had feared that Yimo would leave her behind and go off on his own. Chapter 831. Return to Magical Continent Mountain. Chapter 831. Return to Magical Continent Mountain. Yimo had been planning to make the 5-essence pill after Foundation Establishment State, but he knew that Yiling was already very desperate. Luckily, he had a lot of 10,000-year-old stalagmite marrow. However, Yimo thought of things too simply. With his power, he was able to barely make the 5-essence pill. Yet the spirit chi on Earth was too deficient. He tried 5 times, and they all failed when he was trying to condense the ingredients into a pill. Yimo had wasted 1/10 of his herbs trying to make these 5 cauldrons, and this pained his heart. For the 6th try, he used 9 spirit stones to make a spirit gathering formation. Only then was he able to make one 5-essence pill, and the quality wasn't very high either. The 5-essence pill was unlike other pills. One could only get 1 pill per try. Those who could make 2 or more were geniuses. The pills were also divided into mortal, spirit, heaven, immortal, holy, and god grades. Each grade had 9 levels. The 5-essence pill wasn't hard to make, but it was a heaven grade pill. It was all due to how rare the stalagmite marrow was. The 5-essence pill was a peak-level heaven grade pill. If it wasn't for the fact that it was so easy to make with the right ingredients, it would have been listed as an immortal pill. However, it was also possible to concoct the pill to a lower grade. For example, the pill Yimo had just made was only at heaven grade level 5. Such pills could not be used to test a pill master's skills, as the methodology for concocting the pill was simple. Yimo had wasted 9 spirit stones and 5 cauldrons of ingredients to make only one 5-essence pill. This made him completely give up on the idea to make the Foundation Establishment State pill now. It was only a spirit grade level 1 pill, but its method had the same difficulty as the 5-essence pill. After Yimo made Yiling take the 5 essence pill, he started to make other pills. He had a lot of herbs from the small world, but he just didn't have time to make them. After half a night's rest, Yimo made Song Yangzhu and Yiling a flying sword and a storage ring each. After Yiling took the 5 essence pill, she got on the test that she had 3-element spirit root. Yimo wasn't too satisfied with this, but he knew it was due to the quality of his pill. He still taught Yiling cultivation, but he decided to make her a better pill once his pill concocting skills improved. He was very worried about his daughter and the others. Hence, the next day as soon as it was dawn, he told Huang Yinian and Su Ping, before taking Song Yangzhu and Yiling, to leave Luoyu. He had been planning to go to Japan to find the Xiang Ninjutsu Dojo leader originally, but he set that aside for his daughter. When Yimo and the others arrived at the hidden valley where the 7-star formation was, he found that the place was much tighter now. The formation's radiance was indeed weak. Yimo could tell that it could last at least half a month, which meant that once it disappeared, the formation would close completely again. There were not only hidden sects masters watching it, but the army as well large amounts of journalists and prospectors. However, not everyone could just enter the formation freely. People had to sign something to go in, and not everyone could go in. As for Yimo, the government wanted to block news of him. Yet news of him going in the formation were soon released. Yimo's fame was so big in China and all over the world that it was beyond his imagination. Due to Yimo going in, a lot of people also followed. Ever since the formation at the magical continent mountain was opened, the bloodbath had never stopped. The small world's masters completely surrounded the place, and everyone who came in from the outside world had to leave all of their belongings before going. If they didn't want to or had nothing valuable, they would be killed. At that moment, there were still a few people tied up near the formation. A man with a scar on his face was about to kill one of the tied-up people, but he was stopped by another man. Wait, the formation brightened up again. Let's see if it's a wealthy goat this time. If not, kill them all together. Another called out, Brother, is this the small world? Does it look no different from the outside world? Yiling asked. Before Yimo could reply, he scanned his spirit sense out and saw the bloody scene. He immediately frowned. When he had stayed there, the place had been empty. So why were there so many people there now? What are you looking at, kid? Take off all your clothes and leave your things behind. Brother Bao, there are 2 beautiful chicks. A short fat man was yelling at Yimo, but then he saw Song Yangzhu and Yiling. Yimo looked at the people tied up on the side. He actually knew one of them. It was Su Shi from the Heaven Squad. Yimo looked at these people and understood why the Earth-level tertiary stage Su Shi could be tied up too. There were 2 half-step Great Heaven martial artists there. Even the weakest was at Black-level tertiary stage. Are you King deaf? I told you to take off your cloth dash, the short fat man yelled again. But he stopped halfway as Yimo's wind blade had sliced off his head. A blood pillar was shot into the sky, which scared Yiling and Song Yangzhu. The remaining people saw that Yimo had killed an Earth-level primary stage master immediately. Without saying anything, they all pulled out their weapons. But what got them confused was that their big boss had been staring at Yimo for a long time and went back to reality after Yimo killed the fat man. However, he knelt down immediately. Just when people didn't know what was going on, the other half-step Great Heaven Master also knelt down. He was shivering. Seeing their 2 big bosses kneel on, everyone stopped their steps and the scene became eerily silent. Chapter 832, Cultivation World. Chapter 832, Cultivation World. The Earth-level martial artists hesitated for a moment before decisively putting down their weapons and also kneeling down. Yichinbei, Bao brother said shakily. Yimo wasn't happy at all. These men were clearly waiting there to rob people. Didn't that mean Yimo, Jingguin, and the others has also been stopped? Yichinbei? All of those who hadn't recognized Yimo yet now knew who that man was. It was Yichinbei, who had slaughtered countless Great Heaven and half-step Great Heaven Masters and annihilated Tai sect. Yet still, they had tried to rob Yichinbei. 2 black-level martial artists subconsciously started running, but they were sliced in half after running less than 3 meters. Su Shi and the hidden sex warriors saw that Emo hadn't even spoken, but he had made those fearsome robbers kneel down shakily. They were shocked beyond belief. Emo didn't know them, but they clearly knew him. A person who dominated the outside world had gone into the powerful small world and was still invincible. Instructor Yi, Su Shi said with bitterness. Looking at Song Yangzhu standing next to Emo glanced at Su Shi. He cut loose his ropes with a wind blade. Then, Su Shi untied the others. All of those who had been saved went up to thank Emo. Emo waved his hand and looked at Bao brother. You're robbing people here and killing them? No, Yi Qinbei. I'm just collecting some advanced things to sell, Bao brother said shakily. Emo said coldly, I have no patience. Did 4 women come here a few days ago? Was one of them a girl in her teens? What happened to them? Yes, they were all very pretty, Bao brother said, but he was interrupted. Get to the point. Yes. Wang Wan was here at the time, and he wanted them. He attacked them. Bao brother peeked at Emo, whose face had turned very bleak and stuttered. Then, one of the women brought a little possum that was very strong which killed Wang Wan and 7 others. Speak faster. Emo could breathe a little more at ease. Yes. Then, Wang Wan's brother came. He was at half-step Great Heaven, but one of them was also a Great Heaven Master. They killed Wang Wan's brother and went to Xianjia Mountain, Bao brother said. Why go to Xianjia Mountain? Emo said. Half a month ago, a teleportation formation appeared there and many people went, Bao brother said. Emo's heart sunk. A formation had appeared there too, and also for half a month too. Emo was sure that it wasn't to Earth. If it was, he would have long known. Qianbei, half a month ago, Zihua Goddess took your 2 wives and also went in that formation. Another half-step Great Heaven man said. What? Emo heard this and had a bad feeling. If that formation wasn't to Earth, then it was to the cultivation realm for sure. Luoying, Qingxue, and Beiwei were invincible in the small world, but in the cultivation realm they were at the bottom. They had all taken the face-preserving pill. What if people lusted after them? After he thought about this, Emo waved out wind blades, killing everyone there but Bao brother and the other half-step Great Heaven Master. However, Emo damaged their dantian. Before they could react, Emo's voice sounded. Seeing that you answered honestly, I'll let you live. Spread my word. Those who dare to rob near this formation will die. Then, Emo and the 2 women disappeared. Emo got to Xianjia Mountain as soon as possible. Brother, what do we do? Yiling had never been to the cultivation realm, but seeing that even in the small realm it was the law of the jungle, the cultivation realm would be worse. We'll go inside immediately. Song Yangzhu was also worried. Emo understood their worry, but he could only comfort them. There are also good people in the cultivation realm. Not everyone is cruel. Don't worry, we should still be able to find them if we go now. But when Emo went near the teleportation formation, his face changed. What's wrong? Song Yangzhu asked immediately. Emo said, it's troublesome. This formation does not teleport to a specific location. It's a random one-way formation. Even if 2 people cross it at the same time, they might be millions of miles apart. What? Yiling was shook and asked, brother, that means that if we enter at the same time, we might not appear in the same place? Emo nodded. Yes, but this isn't what I'm worried about the most. I'll hold you 2 when we go, but I'm worried that even if we go through here, we won't be able to find Emo and the others, and much less Qingxue and company, who went in even earlier. Emo was very worried. Emo was only 13. Such a little girl in the cultivation realm that had dangers everywhere wouldn't be able to survive for long. Song Yangzhu got extremely worried. Emo said to Yiling, Yiling, hold silver. We'll go inside immediately. Emo grabbed Song Yangzhu and Yiling and entered the teleportation formation. Emo felt some dizziness. He immediately could tell that it was a very long-distance teleportation. After some time, the 3 of them landed outside an endless valley. Emo looked at Song Yangzhu and Yiling, who were still next to him, and breathed at ease. But immediately, he sensed an extremely dense spirit qi. Feeling this, Emo knew at once that it was the cultivation realm. He was quite familiar with that feeling. In Luoyu continent, the spirit qi was as dense. But Yimo knew that such density was considered very low in the cultivation realm. Most sects had spirit gathering formations and spirit arteries. TL note: spirit arteries, underground streams of spirit energy. Yimo: I feel that this place is quite suitable for truth cultivation, Song Yangzhu said. Yimo nodded. Before he could tell her to go find a nearby city, he saw 6 people fighting and running. They were headed towards them. Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu were dazed. They had never seen such a way of fighting. Fireballs were everywhere in the air, and there were runic papers that brought showers of ice. Flying swords also dashed around all over the place. They could tell that it was 2 people against 4. Before they could ask Yimo, a gray-clothed man pierced a black-faced man's throat with his flying sword. However, before the man could rejoice, the dark-faced man also blasted a fireball through the man's chest. Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu witnessed this in shock. There were no laws there at all. Killing was a daily thing. The other member of the smaller party couldn't focus anymore and was soon killed by the remaining 3. The remaining 2 guys and the woman picked up the storage bags before walking up to Yimo. Seeing these 3 ferocious people walk over, Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu immediately became anxious and stood behind Yimo. Even Silver felt their bad will and raised her feathers. 1 at Qi gathering stage and 1, 2 non-cultivators. These 2 chicks aren't bad. The tall cultivator who walked at the front studied Yimo and laughed. He cultivated the 3 birth chant, hence that man couldn't see Yimo's power at all. A storage ring? A monkey-mouthed man behind the tall cultivator saw Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling's storage and exclaimed. He immediately tried to grab Song Yangzhu. Chapter 833. Truth realization is harder than going above the heavens. Chapter 833. Truth realization is harder than going above the heavens. Yimo had storage rings because he had the space abyssal rock. There were many more space abyssal rocks in the cultivation realm than on Earth, but how many people were there in the cultivation realm? Seeing the storage rings, the monkey-mouthed man immediately wanted to rob it. Moreover, the other woman also tried to grab Yimo. These valuable items were usually only in the hands of high-level cultivators. Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu weren't even able to react due to how fast they had attacked. However, Yimo attacked before they could react. Yimo knew that there was no place for reason in that land, so Yimo immediately threw out 2 wind blades. These weren't like the wind blades he used in the small world. In the cultivation realm, cultivators all had spirit sense and cultivation qi to protect themselves. If he didn't strengthen his wind blades, it wouldn't cause much damage at all. The monkey-mouthed man and woman were both at stage 6 qi gathering. 2 bloodstreams flew in the air. The 2 thieves were hacked away and crushed onto the ground. Foundation establishment state. The woman called out and died. The monkey-mouthed man wasn't even able to speak, as he died with shock and regret. Foundation establishment state. Qianbei. The tall man murmured. He didn't know what to do. Yimo knew he was no foundation establishment state cultivator, but his 3 birth chant allowed him to transform his cultivation qi into cultivation essence at qi gathering state. Cultivation essence was the signature trait of foundation establishment state. Qianbei, please have mercy, the tall cultivator begged. He was just at stage 7. It wasn't that he couldn't attack before, but he was a better person than the other 2. What is this place? Yimo left him to ask where he was. He didn't want to go around like a senseless fly and bump into a strong and cruel cultivator. The tall man immediately said shakily, "This is near Miao Mountain. We came from Pingshao City. We were planning on going to Zheng Yuan Sword Sect's disciple recruitment tournament. We found a Tiandan flower herd. Yimo sighed. He had gathered quite a lot of Tiandan flower at the Wuwen Mountain. Yet he hadn't expected those people would fight over a Tiandan flower in the spirit qi abundant cultivation realm. But Yimo realized that there were too many people cultivating there, and everyone was looking for spirit herbs. People would even fight over lower-grade spirit herbs. Yimo yelled, "Speak clearly. Where is Miao Mountain? Where is the Zheng Yuan Sword Sect? Why are they recruiting disciples?" The tall cultivator was dazed. How could that foundation establishment state Qianbei not know about the Zheng Yuan Sword Sect or Miao Mountain? but he didn't dare to ask that. He could only reply, Miao Mountain is the mountain range on the outskirts of the Zhengyuan sword sect. Many lone cultivators try to find their fortune here. Zhengyuan sword sect is one of the 4-star sects in the North Far State. They are taking in disciples from a radius of hundreds of thousands of kilometers around them. Yimo heard North Far State and his head buzzed. It's real. When he had still been at the magical herb sect, he had seen on a journal that Luoyu continent was divided into the East Black State, the West Extreme State, the North Far State, and the South Peace State. The journal said that each of the 4 states were boundless. It was unknown how many billions of kilometers they had. The Heartless Seas area separating the 4 states was much bigger than billions of kilometers. A person wouldn't be able to touch the border of the East Black State in a lifetime. The journal also described that comparing the other states, North Far State was desolated. There were rarely any hollow spirit cultivators. The East Black State was the second worst. Rarely anyone could reach cauldron-filling state. The South Peace State was the paradise of Luoyu, the legendary place of ascension. Yet, the author had never been able to see it with his own eyes. And to the West Extreme State, not even gods and demons dared to go close, much less cultivators. This meant that each state was boundless, and between these boundless states there was the Heartless Sea, that was even larger than the 4 states. This meant that the North Far State had the worst spirit chi, and was the least suitable for cultivation. The East Black State was a little bit better, but rarely anyone could reach cauldron-filling state. The best place to cultivate was the South Peace State. It was said that people could ascend into the immortal realm there, but the person who had left the journal had never been in his lifetime. Meanwhile, the West Extreme State was said to be a very dangerous place, and it wasn't somewhere ordinary cultivators could go. It seemed like he was in the North Far State at that moment. Yimo was very disappointed. That tall man noticed that Yimo was in a daze and immediately tried to run away. However, he only ran a few meters before getting killed by Yimo's flying sword. Brother, what do we do? Yiling asked worriedly. Song Yangzhu frowned even more, as she worried about Yimo. No one followed reason in that place. How could she feel safe about Yimo? Yimo sighed and took their storage bags before saying, hang your storage ring on your chest. In the cultivation realm, no one dares to scan other people's clothes with spirit sense. Let's find a market and I'll buy a few spirit sense-shielding clothes. In the cultivation realm, those who dared to scan other people's clothes with spirit sense were public enemies. Furthermore, everyone had spirit sense-shielding clothes. Brother, I heard those people call you a foundation establishment state, Qianbei. Is foundation establishment state the highest power level here? Yiling asked. Yimo shook his head. In the cultivation realm, cultivation is divided into 9 levels. Qi gathering, foundation establishment, golden core, nascent soul, hollow spirit, body condensation, cauldron filling, disaster transformation, and truth realization. Then, each state has 9 small levels. It is 81 small levels in total to reach truth realization state peak. The strongest master I know of is only cauldron filling state level 7. Huh. Yiling exclaimed, brother. If we all reach truth realization state peak, then wouldn't we become immortal? Yimo smiled bitterly. You haven't cultivated, so you don't know about the hardships of cultivation. Did you see those people before? They were fighting each other to death for a mere Tiandan flower. But that's only something used for qi gathering state. Even with adequate herbs, some people reach the end of their lives before they could ever break through. Moreover, each state is much harder than the previous one. Yimo's words made Yiling fall silent. After a while, she said firmly, brother, since other people can reach truth realization state, so can I. Chapter 834. Don't be in a rush to leave. Chapter 834. Don't be in a rush to leave. Let's go have a look at the Zhengyuan sword sect. Yimo chose the next target. There was no future for solo cultivators in this world. Solo cultivators had no resources and were often in a lot of danger. Although some could reach to a state where people had to look up to, these were a minority. Most of them died while looking for resources. No matter what world it was, dependence and backup was very important. Yimo just told Song Yangzhu and Yiling to put their storage rings away, but he didn't give them a mask. Although they were pretty girls were everywhere in the cultivation realm. They weren't very extraordinary. After all, they weren't at Luoying, Qingxue, Beiwei, and Xiaoyan's level. Seeing that Yimo wasn't using his flying sword, Yiling asked strangely, "Brother, wouldn't we go faster if we flew?" Yimo shook his head with a bitter smile. "We're just chi-gathering level cultivators. We're not at a market or near a sect. If we fly, we won't keep a low profile. Some bored high-level cultivators might kill you for no reason." Song Yangzhu and Yiling took a cold breath in. They hadn't thought people could be killed for just passing by. Just what kind of place was this? Yimo didn't explain. Although the reality might have not been as dangerous as he said, Song Yangzhu and Yiling had just arrived at the cultivation realm. It was better for them to have a careful attitude. The three of them simply walked out of the Miao Mountain and saw people heading towards one direction on a big road. Yimo scanned with his spirit sense. Most of these people were cultivators and a small portion ancient martial artists. However, there were no foundation establishment state masters. Only a few were at chi-gathering tertiary stages. Yimo and the others soon joined the crowd, and he decided to show his power too. People could come to look for trouble if they were too low-key. As soon as Yimo joined the crowd, people noticed them immediately. Yet when they saw his power, many chose to stay a little further away from Yimo to avoid angering this Qianbei. Yimo was trying to find someone to ask about things when a sturdy-looking man brought a girl less than 20 years old over to Yimo. He saluted with his fists and said, "Friend, I'm Xia Zhongwen, and this is my sister Xia Pinger. Are you guys going to the Zhengyuan sword sect too?" Yimo nodded and studied the two brothers, wondering why he had to come talk to him out of all those people. The man was shorter than him, but he was still more than 175 centimeters tall. He had sturdy muscles and was at stage 9 chi gathering. He was one step away from foundation establishment state, but some people could get stuck at chi gathering peak for the rest of their lives. His sister wasn't much shorter than her brother, but she was also at stage 5 chi gathering. Her looks were average and had some freckles on her face. She looked very shy and stayed behind her brother, not daring to talk. Yimo just studied her casually, and she blushed. Xia Zhongwen replied happily, "Friend, there's still about 3 to 4 days until we get to the sect. There are too many people on this road, and there might be some ill-willed people. If you don't mind, we can form a small group." Yimo realized that this man approved of his power. He was at chi gathering level 8. There weren't many of his caliber here. Most of the people at chi gathering tertiary stage already had a group. "Okay," Yimo agreed. "I'm Yimo. This is my wife Song Yangzhu and my sister Yiling," Yimo introduced. Xia Pinger had little courage, but she wasn't an introvert. She soon talked happily with Yiling and Song Yangzhu. Although Song Yangzhu and Yiling weren't familiar with the language there, they improved rapidly under Xia Pinger's tutelage and the fact that the language was similar to Chinese. Through his conversation with Xia Zhongwen, he understood the sect's power. It was said that they had a nascent soul state ancestor, 14 golden core state masters, almost 100 foundation establishment state members, and countless chi gathering state martial artists. It was indeed a big sect. Yimo also found out from him that the North Far State Sect Division was just like the Sect Division where he had been in his previous life, the East Black State. The sects were divided into 9 stars categories. Zhengyuan Sword Sect was a 4-star sect despite being at the very bottom of the 4-star category. Song Yangzhu and Yiling finally realized that what Yimo had told them was true. They understood what sort of world that place was. On their journey, they saw the strong abuse the weak. The high-level cultivators formed groups and asked for goods to the low-level cultivators. If they didn't give anything, it was either getting injured or death. The low-level cultivators had no choice but to give spirit stones or other treasures in order to get the high-level group's protection. These people are really shameless. Song Yangzhu had seen a young man get killed immediately for not being able to give spirit stones for protection fees. "Sister Yangzhu, brother said we shouldn't comment on these things," Xia Pinger said quickly. "Two pretty girls. What? You don't like me killing people?" The cultivator who killed the young man walked to them. The 4 people with him all walked up to Yimo and the group. These 5 men were all at stage 8 and above, 3 at stage 8 and 2 at stage 9. I saw there was a stage 9 here, so I didn't want to cause trouble, but instead you are the one who wanted to start trouble. Hand over your storage bags and tell that chick who cares so much to come with me. I'll return her later, and this matter will be resolved. The stage 9 martial artist glanced cockily at Song Yangzhu, but he stared at Xia Zhongwen. The remaining 4 men sealed their exits, as if they were sure Yimo and the others would surrender. They had power indeed. Other than Yimo, who was at stage 8, and Xia Zhongwen, who was at stage 9, the 3 other girls' power was minuscule. The people around immediately moved away. Xia Zhongwen's expression changed and saluted with his fist. Martial brothers, she said it unintentionally before. Please don't mind it. There are 10 low-grade spirit stone dash. Stop. You want to buy a life for 10 low-grade spirit stones? Do you King think I'm a beggar? The stage 9 cultivator said in contempt. Sorry, Song Yangzhu said worriedly to Yimo. She couldn't have imagined something so casual would cause so much trouble. Yimo smiled and waved his hand at her. He stopped Xia Zhongwen and then walked to the front. I didn't go looking for trouble with you, but you dare to mess with me. Then, Yimo's flying sword flew towards the cultivator's neck. A flying sword. The cultivator was shook. He hadn't thought a stage 8 martial artist would dare to attack first, and also have a flying sword. Although he was at stage 9, he had no flying sword since he was a solo cultivator. Even some cultivating family members didn't have flying sword. Only those from big sects could afford giving inner sect members their own flying sword. Outer sect members had to do large amounts of missions to get it. His group only had 2 members that had a flying sword, and they all came from cultivation families. As soon as he saw the flying sword, he knew he had messes with someone that wasn't simple. Yimo wasn't going to let him dodge that easily. His flying sword chased the stage 9 closely while he shot 2 wind blades. Although he was only at stage 8, he was much stronger than a chi-gathering stage master. There was no pressure in killing a stage 9 man. If he hadn't wanted to keep a low profile, Yimo could instantly have killed this person. The cultivator wasn't able to dodge the flying sword, nor the wind blades. Splurge, the stage 9 master, was cut in 3 pieces. Yimo took back his flying sword and grabbed the storage bag in the air, while burning the 3 pieces of the body into nothing. The series of movements had been so fluid that it was clear he did it frequently. The other 4 cultivators were dead silent, and so was the crowd around them. Killing a stage 9 master instantly. What kind of power was that? It was the power of a foundation establishment state Qianbei. The other 4 men immediately wanted to run. Since you're here, don't be in a rush to leave. Yimo checked the storage bag and said lazily. Chapter 835. Miao Mountain Market. Chapter 835. Miao Mountain Market, let's attack together. I don't believe the remaining stage 9 master immediately realized that they couldn't resolve things peacefully, so he took out his flying sword to fight for his life. However, he stopped in the middle of the sentence. He had just blocked Yimo's flying sword, but got killed by the hidden sword rays. It was a modified sword ability, the 3-birth sword ray. The reason he had used it then was to test its power. Secondly, he had shot it from a very hidden angle. Hence to others, the man had been killed by the flying sword. Seeing that the cultivator couldn't resist at all, Yimo rejoiced. This thing was a big killing blow indeed. If his sword rays formed a net, then no matter how fast the opponent was, they would be killed. Another stage 9 got instantly killed. The cultivators around didn't even dare to watch too closely. Yimo took the storage bag and looked at the remaining stage 8 cultivators. Qianbei, this is my storage bag. A smart cultivator gave his storage bag to Yimo as quickly as possible. The remaining 2 men saw this, and they both handed over their storage bags without hesitation. Yimo picked these up and then yelled, "Piss off!" Yes, thanks for sparing our lives, Qianbei." The 3 men ran away faster than rabbits and immediately disappeared. The reason he hadn't killed these 3 cultivators was because he knew there were countless people like that in the world, and he wouldn't be able to kill them all. In order to protect himself there, it was pointless to kill. The only way was to increase his own power, to make everyone fear his power. Xia Zhongwen, like others in the crowd, stared at Emo in shock. He had never seen a qi gathering state this strong. Xia Pinger was also dazed and unable to talk. They had been still thinking about how to pay a huge sum for these people to let them go. Yet now Emo had killed them easily and gotten 5 storage bags. Song Yangzhu approached him and hugged Emo's arm excitedly. She had heard Emo say there were many people stronger than him in that world, but she was still proud that Emo could easily kill a strong enemy. Brother, these people don't seem that strong. Why do people endure their robberies? Yiling asked in confusion. Xia Zhongwen got defeated by Yiling's words. They might have not seemed strong to her brother, but for others they were the strongest ones there. Brother Yi, I didn't think you were this strong. I probably wouldn't even be able to last 3 moves if I fought you. Funny how I thought I was a little stronger than you before, Xia Zhongwen said. Emo patted his shoulders and said, I have fought a lot, so I have some experience. You will be the same too. Xia Zhongwen didn't think so. He had experienced a lot of battles too. Let's not talk about this, Zhongwen. It's dark now. Is there a place to rest? Emo didn't mind, but Yiling and Song Yangzhu were tired. There is one 30 kilometers ahead. There's a market and some hotels too. We can rest there for the night and continue the next morning. However, it's a little pricey to enter the market, Xia Zhongwen said. Emo handed the 2 storage bags over Xia Zhongwen and said, These are yours. Keep these 2 flying sword too. Emo really couldn't be bothered taking these low-grade flying swords. Xia Zhongwen quickly waved his hand. I can't take that, it's too precious. Emo patted him and smiled. We all have flying sword. You don't have any, so take it. We're all friends. Moreover, I don't really like this type of flying sword. Xia Zhongwen could tell Emo didn't care about those low-grade flying swords, so he took them and thanked Emo greatly. The Miao Mountain Market was quite a famous market near the Zhengyuan sword sect. It was very popular mainly because it was very safe. This market belonged to the Zhengyuan sword sect, so rarely anyone dared to cause trouble there. Many lone cultivators, pill concoctors, forgers, and rune makers made a living here. Everyone had to pay a 5 low-grade spirit stones entrance fee. Emo had robbed 11 storage bags and given 2 to Xia Zhongwen, but he still had 9 left. Emo had gotten 172 spirit stones from these bags. Moreover, he had 3 from before, so he had 175 spirit stones in total. So prosperous! Song Yangzhu exclaimed. Emo had been to some markets before, and he felt it was all right, but it was indeed prosperous. It was almost like a city. There were all sorts of businesses there, but of course, mostly related to cultivation. The 5 of them went into an ordinary hotel where they had to pay 3 spirit stones per night. Emo bought Song Yangzhu and Yiling the cheapest defensive inner clothes and spent all of his spirit stones. With dense luminous stones and luminous formations, the market was bright like daylight even during the night. Yiling had never cultivated before and Song Yangzhu was very weak. They were very tired going all the way from Luoyu to there. So as soon as they went in the hotel, they were told to rest by Emo. Emo, meanwhile, left the hotel. He knew that without spirit stones, it would be like walking on earth without money. They wouldn't be able to do anything. Emo wanted to see if he could exchange some of his pills to get some spirit stones. Of course, he would get large sums of money if he took out a few of his face-preserving pills made of stalagmite marrow, but he knew he would be a dead man if he did. Emo still used an ordinary storage bag. There were more than 10 essence-increasing pills and 1 great essence-increasing pills. These pills were what he was going to sell that night. In a corner of the market, Emo set up his stall. However, unlike the mortal world markets, even in the farthest corner, people soon arrived. Essence-increasing pill, great essence-increasing pill, how much? A stage 6 Qi gathering master went to him immediately when he saw the pills. Both of these 2 pills were required by Qi gathering states. The great Qi gathering pill could allow this man reach Qi gathering tertiary stage. He could get these at a pill shops, but he knew these stalls would sell for much cheaper. The essence increasing pill, 20 spirit stones for 1. The great essence increasing pill, 30 spirit stones for 1. Emo knew the prices of proper shops. Essence increasing pills were sold for 25 spirit stones, and great essence-increasing pills were sold for 38 spirit stones. He believed his price wasn't high. This cultivator heard this and immediately got excited. It was 5 to 8 spirit stones cheaper than in a shop. Usually, these stalls would only be 2 spirit stones cheaper. If these pills were real, then he would be earning big. "Marshall brother, can I have a look at the pills?" the cultivator asked. "Of course." Yemo handed one of each to the cultivator without hesitation. The cultivator smelled the pill and felt the spirit chi inside the pill. He immediately called out in excitement, "A top-grade essence-increasing pill." But he realized at once that he shouldn't have talked so loudly. He quickly said, "I want 3 essence-increasing pills and 1 great essence-increasing pill." However, before he finished, a few more chi-gathering tertiary stages arrived. All of them had heard the words, "top-grade essence-increasing pills." People also liked watching shows on the streets in the cultivation realm, so when they were sure that Yemo's pills were top-grade pills, all of Yemo's 10 essence-increasing pills and 10 great essence-increasing pills were quickly sold. He had gotten 500 spirit stones very quickly. Yemo sighed. The life of pill concoctors were indeed prosperous. The ones who didn't get pills didn't want to leave. However, Yemo didn't care. He packed his things and was about to leave. Yet, he was stopped by 2 people. Chapter 836, Local Snake. Chapter 836, Local Snake. "Kid, you're not from here, are you? It's fine if you want to earn money in my spot, but you'd be looking down on me if you tried to leave without paying anything." A Stage 9 martial artist and a chi-gathering peak martial artist stopped Yemo. They had seen Yemo earn a few hundred spirit stone very quickly, and they got blinded by greed. Moreover, they could tell Yemo was a foreigner, and he hadn't gotten a stall permit. A few hundred spirit stones were a huge fortune for chi-gathering cultivators. Most of them didn't even have tins of spirit stones, because they immediately used them for pills as soon as they got them. If it had been the outside, Yemo would have already killed them. However, he knew he was in the Meow Mountain Market. It was someone else's land. No matter how powerful he was, he had no way but to stay low in the land with a golden core state master. He knew those 2 had nothing to do with the stall, but he still gave them 20 stones. "In that case, take this as a fee for using this stall." "Humph." One of the cultivators saw Yemo only take out 20 and was immediately unhappy. He pushed the spirit stones away, clearly unhappy that Yemo had only taken out so little. Yemo saw the 2 men wanted more. So without thinking, he put the 20 stones away. The cultivator understood that he had made a mistake. Yemo had put the 20 spirit stones away. He immediately got furious and wanted to attack, but the other Stage 9 cultivator stopped him. "Wait, Marshall Brother Ming." The cultivator then looked at Yemo coldly. "I'm Kai Jing. This is my Marshall Brother Ming Fao. You have just come to this market, so you might not know the rules here. This market belongs to the Zhang Yuan sword sect. Everyone has to pay a stall fee. If you don't pay it, we have the authority to attack you." Yemo sneered. With his experience, he could tell Kai Jing was putting on an act. It was true that stalls costed money, but he had only been here for an hour. The fees certainly couldn't be that much. Moreover, those 2 men were clearly not the market managers. They just wanted to scam him for some money. However, Yemo was going to see if he could join the sect later on, so it wasn't good to offend people before he had been accepted. "How much is the stall fee?" Yemo asked. "You just earned 500 spirit stones. We would only take a small portion. How about you give me 240 spirit stones, and we can be friends. Next time you open a stall, we will protect you." Kai Jing immediately said when he noticed that the man backed down after he brought up his sect. Ming Fao heard this and wasn't too satisfied. Yemo was clearly a foreigner. They could easily take 400 stones from him. These foreigners wouldn't dare say much, even if they scammed him. Just that much? Yemo heard this number and calmed down instead. Since those guys were so shameless, he didn't need to give them any respect. He didn't think the Zhang Yuan sword sect was the only sect in this world. Seeing this, Kai Jing realized that he had asked for too little. If he had asked for more, perhaps this man would have agreed. but he had already said the amount in front of so many people, so he couldn't really go back on his words. Yes, that much. We're going easy on you. P***, Yimo yelled. Ming Fao heard this and was dazed for half a second before pointing at Yimo's face, roaring, "UF *King Trash. What did you say?" Ming Fao couldn't resist it and charged at Yimo. Although fighting wasn't allowed in the market, he was an outer sect member. He wasn't going to stand still when an insect was telling him to P*** off. But before he could hit Yimo slapped him twice. Ming Fao was thrown 10 meters away. He crashed onto the barrier of another stall and bounced back. Everyone saw this and the scene immediately turned quiet. That foreigner didn't care at all. "You're asking to die." Ming Fao wiped his mouth. His face was bleeding and he had lost a few teeth. Kai Jing also reacted and sent out his flying sword to Yimo. "What's going on?" 2 law enforcers came to the scene. When they saw the 2 cultivators, Kai Jing stopped his steps, while Ming Fao dashed at Yimo again. Yimo sneered. He sealed Ming Fao's cultivation chi with his cultivation essence and kicked Ming Fao's chest. Ming Fao was thrown away again and landed in the middle of the street. He finally understood that his chi was far weaker than this foreigner's. Not even a third as strong as this man's. Humph. The law enforcers saw that Yimo still dared to fight and sneered. Yimo was shook. He realized the 2 cultivators' cultivation essence was stronger than his. They were probably at foundation establishment state. Yimo scanned with his spirit sense and realized that one of them was at foundation establishment state primary stage, and the other one was at foundation establishment state middle stage. Pengqian Bei, this man is causing trouble in the market. He attacked me and Marshal Brother Ming, Kai Jing said. "Who says you can start trouble here?" The foundation establishment state primary stage master asked Yimo coldly. Yimo didn't matter to him at all. Although he knew Kai Jing and Ming Fao had been trying to scam foreign cultivators, he wasn't going to help Yimo because Kai Jing would pay them tributes later. Yimo realized these men were in the same group. If it had been in the outside, he was sure he could kill that foundation establishment state primary stage cultivator. However, with that middle stage master there too, he didn't stand a chance at all. Yimo still had to explain. Yet he only got to tell half of the events when he got stopped by the foundation establishment state middle stage man. "Stop talking shit. We saw you attack. Now you need to come with us." Yimo knew it wasn't good. If he went with them, he wouldn't survive. If he had been by himself, he could run away. However, there was still Song Yangzhu and Yiling. More and more people were watching. Even Song Yangzhu, Yiling, and the Xia siblings had come. "Brother, what's going on?" Yiling grabbed Yimo's clothes tightly. She had heard people say that the 2 law enforcers were foundation establishment state Qianbei. Yimo pulled Song Yangzhu. Even if he couldn't run, he was planning on running. "Yangzhu, let's go." Yimo pulled Song Yangzhu and tried to leave. "Ha ha ha. If a stage 8 Qi gathering cultivator can run away from me, I, Gongling, don't need to live." The foundation establishment state primary stage cultivator saw this and laughed. He immediately raised his power, and the Qi gathering cultivators around him were forced back by the pressure. Yimo protected Yiling and Song Yangzhu, perhaps due to a lot of people being there. Another powerful spirit sense scanned over, and Yimo was shook. This spirit sense was no longer at foundation establishment state. It was at least at golden core state middle stage. Gong Lin immediately retracted his power and stood carefully on the side. A man and woman appeared before everyone. The woman looked like she was in her 40s and grabbed Yiling's wrist. Yimo couldn't even stop her. After a moment, she said in shock, "A 3-element full spirit root? How is that possible?" Chapter 837. Separation? Chapter 837. Separation. More than 90% of the people didn't have a spirit root nor a spirit root that was near full. If one had many spirit roots, he would at most have one that was near full. They would never have more than one that was full. Those with full spirit roots were mostly single spirit rooted. Usually, the more spirit roots you had, the worse your talent. But if they were all full, then it would be a different story. This was rarer than a single spirit root. It isn't impossible. I've heard that Shang Yuan's sect has a cultivator that had 4 full spirit roots. He was cultivating earth style, and yet he was faster than a pure wood spirit root. This girl has a 3 full spirit root. She's a true genius, the man said on the side. Then, the woman immediately took out a testing device and said to Yi Ling, "Put your hand on it." Yi Mo didn't stop them. His power was nothing compared to a golden core state cultivator's. Although he knew that woman had no ill will, he still felt uncomfortable. Power. If he had power, no matter what they did, he could take Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu away. Yi Ling put her hand into the device and it showed indeed that she had a water, fire, and wood full spirit root. A 3-element full spirit root indeed. The woman called out in joy. Yet when she saw Song Yangzhu, she was dazed and said, "Test yourself too." Another metal and water double spirit root. Her metal spirit root is nearly full. The woman got even happier. She hadn't thought she would be able to find such talented disciples just by going outside. She couldn't believe it. "Are you two willing to be my disciples?" The woman was so excited that her voice changed. Although she was Zhang Yuan's sword sect's golden core state elder, good talented disciples were chosen first by other sections. Hearing the woman's words, everyone around gave them looks of envy. They weren't idiots and they could tell those two were golden core state cultivators. Who wouldn't want a golden core state cultivator to be their master? But what they didn't expect was that Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling shook their heads at the same time. "I'm Zhang Yuan's sword sect's elder Li Yuqian. If you become my disciples, you will cultivate with me at Yin Yuan Peak. Why don't you want to?" Li Yuqian was worried. The other man quickly said, "I'm a little stronger than Elder Li. I'm the Peak Lord of Daizhang Peak. You can also be my disciples and come with me." "Elder Han, how can you say that?" The martial brother who had come with her wasn't helping her. Instead, he was trying to steal the 2 girls away from her. Song Yangzhu reacted first. She could tell that the woman was very powerful. Her husband wouldn't be able to beat her. She immediately bowed. "Sorry, Qianbei, but I want to be with my husband. Yi Ling also wants to be with her brother. We don't want to be separated." "Your husband?" Li Qinyu looked at once at Yi Mo and grabbed his wrist. However, she put her hand down in disappointment. "A mixed spirit root and not pure." Yi Mo heard this and was dazed. He had a mixed spirit root, but it wasn't impure. And he had tested Song Yangzhu before. She had indeed a dual spirit root, but it wasn't full. "This kid doesn't have the right to enter the inner sects, but on your account we can let him be an outer sect member. His spirit root is very bad. It would be very hard for him to reach foundation establishment state, much less golden core state." "You guys dash," Li Yuqian cut off some of the inappropriate stuff she was going to say. "If you live together every day and be all lovey-dovey, it will affect your Tao. You're so young. How can you have so many impure thoughts? I've cultivated for 60 years, and I've never had such impure thoughts." Song Yangzhu was going to rebuke, but Yi Mo stopped her. "Yangzhu, I'm going to go to the Zhang Yuan sword sect anyways. If you and Yi Ling could become Li Qianbei's disciples, it would be very fortunate. I still need to go and find Yi Mo, so you guys can just focus on cultivation." Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling heard this and understood that Yi Mo really meant. He had to go looking for Yi Mo and the others. They were too weak, and it was inconvenient to bring them. Moreover, without a golden core state master, those 2 foundation establishment state law enforcers wouldn't let them go. Thinking about this, Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling quickly walked up to Li Yuqian and bowed. "Wanbei Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling are willing to serve Qianbei as our master." Li Yuqian was confused at how Yi Mo had made the 2 women agree so easily. That man's power was average, but he really knew how to deal with women. They were willing to reject a golden core state master for him. Li Yuqian quickly cast these thoughts aside and looked happily at the 2 women. "Okay, in that case come with me now." Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling looked at Yi Mo. Li Yuqian frowned. She felt Yi Mo was quite annoying. His own talent was bad, but he was damaging the future of 2 talented girls. But in order to not make Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling dislike her, she didn't force anything. She would never let Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling meet up with Yi Mo again. Yi Mo knew the woman was getting impatient, but he still had to say some last words. "Qianbei, Us three are staying at a hotel not far away. After we check out of the hotel, we will go with Qianbei to the Zhengyuan sword sect, Yimo said. Liu Qian could tell Yimo had some private things to say to the two women. However, since she wasn't planning on letting them see Yimo again, she had some patience. She waved her hand. Go, I'll wait for you here. Liu Qian then yelled at the two Foundation Establishment state cultivators. P*S off. You're lucky this time. If you dare to be disrespectful to my disciples ever again, don't blame me then. Yes, yes. The two Foundation Establishment state cultivators left while cursing in their hearts that the two girls hadn't been her disciples before. Xia Zhongwen felt like he was in a dream. Seeing Yimo and the others leave, he immediately followed them too. He wanted to stay at the Zhengyuan sword sect, so he needed to tighten their relationship. Moreover, he felt Yimo was someone worth being friends with. Wait, just when he was about to leave, he was stopped by Elder Han. He also took out a spirit root testing device and said, "You've reached stage 9 Qi gathering at such a young age. Let me see what spirit root you have." Yimo brought the two women back to the hotel. He set a sound barrier formation before saying to the two women, "After you two leave, you might not see me for a while, so you need to work hard cultivating." Huh, brother, aren't you going to the Zhengyuan sword sect too? If you're not going, I'm not going either, Yiling said. Yes, if you're not going, what's the point of us going? Song Yangzhu said. Yimo shook his head. Liu Qian isn't going to let you come out, so I don't slow down your cultivation. The only way is for us to reach Golden Core State. This place has more spirit qi than Luoyu. I think with your primordial fortune chant, you can reach Foundation Establishment State really quickly. Don't worry, one day, we will have our own land on this continent, just like Luoyu City. So don't look for me, I will come to take you away. Just work hard cultivating. Your life won't be truly yours until you reach a higher state. Chapter 838. Terrifying Cultivation Whirlpool. Chapter 838. Terrifying Cultivation Whirlpool. I'll carve the primordial chaos chant on a jade slip for you. You can cultivate that from now on. Don't cultivate what Liu Qian teaches you, but you can learn from her some cultivation magic. You must remember, never expose this cultivation method. I don't think there is in Luoyu continent a cultivation method of this caliber, Yimo said carefully. Yimo carved the cultivation method on jade slips and gave it to the two women. Then, he gave them 200 spirit stones each and some pills before saying, "You must remember to never trust people easily in the cultivation realm. The people here are willing to do anything to get stronger." Yimo, where will you go? Song Yangzhu didn't want to be away from Yimo, but she knew he had to do things. Yimo thought for a moment and said, "I'm still very weak right now. I want to search the entire Luoyu continent after I get stronger. I want to be able to go to the South Peace State to cultivate in the future. It's said that the spirit qi is much denser there. Brother, when you go to the South Peace State, remember to take Sister Yangzhu and me with you." Yiling felt bad thinking that she might not be able to see her brother for a long time. She might have cried if Song Yangzhu hadn't been going with her to that strange place. Yiling saw the tears in Yiling's eyes and made up his mind to cultivate like crazy. They weren't on Earth. He had what was needed to cultivate. One day, he would take them wherever they wanted to go. Go. Your master is quite decent. I can tell she's cultivating the rightful Dao cultivation method. Don't make her wait too long. Yimo got up. Brother Yi, I have an earth and wind dual spirit root. Elder Han has taken me as his disciple, Xia Zhongwen said excitedly. Yimo hadn't expected his talent to be so good. Xia Pinger's talent wasn't that good. She had a 3-element spirit root. She had an average talent. The two Golden Core State Elders soon took them all to the Zhengyuan sword sect. In a short time, they traveled a 2 days' distance. Liu Qian left Yimo and Xia Pinger in the ordinary outer sect reception and took Song Yangzhu and Yiling to Yin Yuan Peak. Because Yimo and Xia Pinger had been brought by Golden Core State Elders, the receptionist was rather polite to them. Yimo got a room for cultivation. It only had a simple defense formation, but it was enough for Yimo. Despite being on the most outer region of the sect, the dense spirit chi still made Yemo happy. Yemo got an identity card and clothes and immediately went back to his place to cultivate. He didn't want to waste a minute. But when he ran meridian cycles in his meridians, he was shook and stopped cultivation immediately. In a few breaths' time, the spirit chi outside had formed a dense whirlpool that rushed towards him. It was so huge that it reminded Yemo of the moment when Foundation Establishment State formed golden cores. It was too huge. Yemo was happy that his three-birth chant was so terrifying when devouring spirit chi. He was only at chi gathering stage. It didn't act like that on Earth due to the lack of spirit chi, but now it showed its true power. Yemo could guess that it was stronger at places with more spirit chi, but if he continued cultivation, people would notice immediately. If people found out that a chi gathering state cultivator could cause this, he would be dissected down to the bones. Power, power. Yemo sighed. Without power, he didn't even dare to cultivate. As soon as Yemo stopped cultivation, many powerful spirit senses scanned inside. Yemo didn't dare to move. There was a spirit sense that was far stronger than that Elder Han's. Yemo was certain that it belonged to the nascent soul state cultivator. They didn't find anything special and took back their spirit sense. Yemo was scared and sweating. He rejoiced that he had stopped early, or else he would have been caught. After collecting his thoughts, Yemo laid down. He had decided to leave the sect the next morning to cultivate. A night passed, and Yemo rested well. As a new sect member, Yemo had to get approval before he could go out. Luckily, Yemo had been taken there by the Golden Core State Elder, and so the manager didn't really care. He just told him that new members had to go to Mission Hall to take missions. In any sect, the outer sect members were pawns. It was not only in the sense of battles between sects, but they also did a lot of missions for their sect. If they wanted cultivation resources, they had to complete missions to get points and exchange these points for resources. The herbs they worked arduously for and the beasts they hunted were taken by the sect and given to the inner sect members and core sect members. It could be said that the outer sect members existed for inner sect members. Yiling and Song Yangzhu were private disciples and had the same power as a core sect member, sometimes even more. Those on a lower position than the outer sect members were the labor disciples. However, they usually didn't cultivate, so they had less pressure than outer sect members. Yemo arrived at the mission hall in the morning and found it was already full. The sect had nearly 1,000 outer sect members, but there were limited missions. If you went early, you could get a low-risk, highly rewarded mission. If you arrived late, then you could only get those high-risk, poorly rewarded mission. Of course, it was relative. Usually a high-risk mission would be well rewarded. The mission hall had 2 screens which were controlled by a formation. One wrote the top 10 Foundation Establishment State Masters of the sect and the top 30 Chi Gathering Masters. This ranking was called the Zhengzhuan Hall of Fame. The other screen showed missions. Did you know? Our sect's number 1 Foundation Establishment State, Qianbei Li Bison, is in solitary cultivation now. It's said he's trying to reach Golden Core State. Li Qianbei is really the genius of the century in our sect. How long has it been? He's already trying to reach Golden Core State. When I just arrived at the sect, he was only at Qi Gathering State. Yet now, I'm still at Qi Gathering State. Do you dare to compare yourself with Li Qianbei? Do you know Martial Brother Li Belan? He is Li Qianbei's younger brother. He's only been here for half a year, and he's already ranked 2nd on the Qi Gathering ranking. Yemo heard this, but he wasn't interested. He had gone there to get a mission, go out and cultivate. Chapter 839. Search for a place. Chapter 839. Search for a place. Yemo looked at the big mission screen and found that most of the missions were at the All Herbs mountain ranges. Yemo remembered the small booklet the manager had given him the previous night. It had information about the mountain range, so he quickly took it out of his storage ring. The All Herbs mountain ranges was one of the 10 biggest ranges in the North Far State. It was not only a place for Zhengyuan Sword Sect members to go on trials, but also for the Lian Qing Sect, the Flowing Cloud Sect, the Demon Spirit Sect, the North Lightning Palace, and other sects' trial grounds. The North Lightning Sect was a 5-star sect, It was said they had a hollow spirit-level master. Although many sects had trials in the All-Herbs mountain ranges, it had never been thoroughly searched as it was huge. Even after all these years, the sect members would at most search the outskirts. They couldn't even reach half of the places in there. Although the All-Herbs mountain ranges had a lot of spirit herbs and fortunes, there were also a lot of dangers. It had a lot of beasts and dangerous places. Each year, many sect members who went on trial there would disappear. This is a good place, Emo said to himself. It was that big. If he found a distant place to cultivate, no one would be able to find him, right? There it shall be. Emo closed the booklet and looked at the mission screen. There were rarely any solo missions, and even if there were, most of them weren't at the All-Herbs mountain ranges. Just when Emo was wondering whether to go on a mission with someone, he heard a lively voice say, "Marshall brother, do you want to go on a mission to the All-Herbs mountain ranges?" Emo heard this voice and thought it was a lowly. However, when he turned around, he saw it belonged to a woman in her 30s. Her skin was a little dark, and she wasn't ugly. Emo quickly nodded. "Yes, I want to get a mission." The woman heard this and said hospitably, "I'm Lu Jinyue." Me, another Marshall sister, and two other Marshall brothers took a mission to the All-Herbs mountain ranges to collect the rainbow gold lotus. We're missing one person. Do you want to join us? The rainbow gold lotus? Emo had heard of this, of course. It wasn't a pill ingredient, but a supplementary material for forgery. It could be used to make women's clothes. It usually grew in cold places next to ponds. It was a decent thing, but that couldn't be found in the outskirts. Emo nodded. "Okay, then I'll join your team. I'm Emo. I just arrived at the sect." Lu Yuezhen immediately rejoiced to see that Emo was joining them. She quickly waved to the three people behind her. Emo was at stage 8. He provided decent assistance to the team. The other three team members quickly approached them. After Lu Jinyue's introduction, Emo found out that the person with an average height but whiter skin than Lu Jinyue was called Jiang Yi. There was also an extremely handsome man called Tong Zhantan. These two were both at stage 9. There was also another good-looking girl called Huang Ping. She was only at stage 7, but she clearly liked the handsome Tong Zhantan. All her thoughts were about him. After the 5 of them registered, they immediately left the mission hall. What surprised Emo was that Tong Zhantan took out a low-grade flying artifact. It was a small boat. It was quite cool to have something like that for a Qi-gathering state disciple. Tong Zhantan smiled. "It belongs to my family. My family gave it to me after I became an inner sect member." "You're not an outer sect member?" Emo was very surprised. Most of the people taking missions were outer sect members. Tong Zhantan smiled but didn't reply. He knew a lot of people looked down on him for going on missions with outer sect members, but it wasn't just about taking missions. Cultivation should be joined together with experience in order to achieve maximum improvement. Moreover, his goal wasn't the rainbow golden lotus. "Let's all get on the boat. We will have to fly for 2 days before we can enter the All-Herb mountain ranges," Tong Zhantan said to everyone. The 3 others rushed onto the flying boat, but Emo shook his head. "I have a flying sword. I can use that." They saw this and didn't say anything. After all, Emo had just met them. It was normal for him to have such concerns and wariness. 2 days later, they entered the All-Herbs mountain ranges. The boundless ranges appeared in front of their eyes. There were also many forests and lakes. It was a primitive place. Tong Zhantan's flying boat slowed down drastically after entering the ranges. He reminded the others, "There are lots of beasts here and some people lurk in the shadows to ambush people. Stay alert." Emo went around and noticed a lot of low-level beasts. The strongest beast was only at level 2. They didn't even have a beast core. He also saw a lot of spirit herbs and even cultivators fighting beasts. The group had a clear target and didn't waste much time on the road. Emo didn't even do anything. They reached a misty lake on the 5th day. Emo realized that it was probably the place where the rainbow golden lotus grew. Emo's spirit sense was very strong, but not even his spirit sense could scan to the end of the lake. However, Tong Zhantan stopped the flying boat and landed a few km away from the lake. He said to Emo and the others, "The rainbow golden lotus is on the other side of the lake. There are some metal spine crocodiles around. Although there are a lot of them, The strongest one is only at level 2 peak. We just need to be careful, and we should be able to succeed. Then, Lu Jinyue said, how about Martial Brother Yi and I distract the crocodiles? Okay, then Jiang Yi, Huang Ping and I will try to get the rainbow golden flower, Tong Zhentan said and waved his hand, leading them to the river. Yi and Mo saw 5 or 6 metal spine crocodiles laying lazily around the rainbow golden flower. They were indeed level 2, and some level 1 beasts. Beasts that weren't level 3 yet were at most at Qi gathering state comparatively. Only those at level 3 were equivalent to Foundation Establishment State cultivators. When the group was still 3 kilometers away from the crocodiles, Tong Zhentan yelled, Martial Sister Lu, Martial Brother Yi, hurry up and draw their attention. Yi and Mo frowned. He thought that even if they were to do that, they should wait until the other 3 were closer. Moreover, there were a lot of rainbow golden flowers there too. If they just needed a small amount, they didn't even need to startle the beasts, they could just take them. With this thought, Yi and Mo didn't attack and stopped instead. However, Lu Jinyue charged at the beast and caught the attention of 3 level 2 crocodiles. They attacked Lu Jinyue immediately. Yi and Mo sighed. He didn't know what Tong Zhentan wanted, but he had no goodwill. Lu Jinyue was soon surrounded and in danger. She was hit twice by their water arrows, and her clothes were ripped. Lu Jinyue noticed things weren't right. Why was she the only one fighting? Yi and Mo saw Tong Zhentan look at him in confusion and thought that maybe he was wrong about him. But since Lu Jinyue was in danger, Yi and Mo couldn't keep watching and stopped 2 beasts with his flying sword. Lu Jinyue immediately breathed at ease. She gave Yi and Mo a grateful look and took a pill. When Yi and Mo's flying sword heavily injured a crocodile, a deep howl sounded. A black figure darted out of the water rapidly and charged at Yi and Mo and Lu Jinyue. Not good. Yi and Mo could tell immediately by that power that it was at least at level 3. Lu Jinyue's face also changed drastically. She had also immediately realized that it was a level 3 beast. Yi and Mo's spirit sense scanned Tong Zhentan, who was using that instant to dart amongst the rainbow golden lotus. He had used the perfect timing. Yi and Mo saw a purple one in the middle of the flowers, which Tong Zhentan was aiming for. Right away, Yi and Mo realized he had been tricked by Tong Zhentan. Chapter 840. Just Passing By. Chapter 840. Just passing by the purple flower was called the purple lotus. It was the king of the rainbow golden lotus. It was hard to differentiate from ordinary rainbow golden lotus, but it only had 5 lotus seeds. It was not only useful for reaching Foundation Establishment State, but it could also cause Foundation Establishment State breakthrough 2 levels. However, at most 2 small levels. If one had already eaten the lotus before, then it would be useless. Yi and Mo saw it, and Lu Jinyue was no fool. Her expression looked really bad. It wasn't her first time working with Tong Zhentan. She hadn't thought that generous-looking inner sect member could be so shameless and use people of his own sect as bait. Yi and Mo didn't dare to hold back against the level 3 beast. His flying sword immediately blocked the level 3 beast's attack, while he threw 3 wind blades at the other 3 level 2 beasts. Clank! Yi and Mo's flying sword clashed with the head of the level 3 beast, but it only made a small mark. The 3 wind blades didn't even leave a mark. Yi and Mo hadn't intentionally tried, but one could still see how tough the beast's skin was. Lu Jinyue reacted. She was going to join him on the attack, but Yi and Mo stopped her. Hurry up and run. Can you beat a level 3 beast? Yi and Mo said, and immediately blocked 3 more water arrows. He wasn't really trying to save Lu Jinyue, nor help Tong Zhentan stop the beasts. No, we leave together. What will you do when I leave? Lu Jinyue immediately said. Yi and Mo was speechless. He hadn't expected Lu Jinyue to be such a genuine person. However, he pulled Lu Jinyue and immediately started running. While running, he cursed at the metal spine crocodile. Do you have a pig brain? Your purple lotus is about to be stolen. Hurry up and go after it. Yi and Mo said. The metal spine crocodile seemed to have understood Yi and Mo and looked back. He immediately saw Tong Zhentan, who had dug up the purple lotus and began to run. The level 3 beast howled. It immediately left Yi and Mo and Lu Jinyue behind and chased after Tong Zhentan. Yimo sighed. Tong Juntan had calculated it perfectly. The beast wouldn't be able to catch up to him no matter what. Yet, how dare this punk scheme against him? He was going to get revenge no matter what. The other 3 level 2 beasts also left Yimo and Lu Jinue behind. Lu Jinue wiped the sweat off her forehead and looked awkwardly at Yimo. Sorry, I didn't think he was this sort of person. If it hadn't been for you, I would have died today. Yimo waved his hand, but he looked coldly at Tong Juntan. At first he had thought that although he was bleak, he had still taken the woman he liked and ran away. Yet now, Yimo didn't see it that way. Tong Juntan had grabbed Huang Ping and thrown her to the metal spine crocodile to buy some time, despite knowing that the beast wouldn't be able to catch up to his flying boat. Animal. Lu Jinue saw this scene and cursed. Huang Ping was still confused when she was pushed by the person she loved into the big mouth of the metal spin crocodile. Huang Ping immediately realized what was going on and her heart died. For a mere herb, he had thrown her into the crocodile, despite being able to escape, and just so that he would be 100% safe. She loved someone like that. Just when she had completely given up hope, Jiang Yi dashed over and pushed Huang Ping out. However, the crocodile bit off one of his arms. The metal spine crocodile ignored the two of them and kept chasing after Tong Juntan. Huang Ping was dazed. She hadn't been able to react at the scene. She knew Jiang Yi liked her, but she liked Tong Juntan. He was not only an inner sect member and extremely handsome, he was also very generous and seemed reliable. Meanwhile, Jiang Yi had very white skin and didn't like to talk. He seemed a little dull, but she hadn't expected him to be able to throw himself into the crocodile and save her. Huang Ping felt like she had been very dumb. Without thinking, she approached Jiang Yi and helped him stand up. She sniffed for a long while before saying sorry. Jiang Yi took a pill, but his face got even paler. I'm happy that you're fine. Yimo nodded and felt a little better. If the 4 of them had joined up against him, he might have killed them all. But now, it seemed like Tong Juntan was the only problem. Yimo looked at Lu Jinue, who was still in a daze, and said, if I had been you, I would have collected the rainbow golden lotus and ran instead of standing and watching here. If that level 3 beast comes back, things won't be good. Yimo's spirit sense scanned out 20 kilometers. Tong Juntan had been slowed down by another 3, and due to that, the crocodile had also caught up. However, for some reason, he had managed to persuade other 3 cultivators to fight the crocodile together. Huh, what about you? Lu Jinue subconsciously asked Yimo. Yimo clearly didn't intend to go with them. Yimo smiled. I still have some business, so I won't be leaving. Lu Jinue looked at Yimo strangely. She felt Yimo was no ordinary person. He had reacted very calmly when the level 3 crocodile was chasing after them, but she knew Yimo was right. If that crocodile came back, she would get nothing. Hence, she immediately began collecting the flowers. Martial Sister Huang, let's go collect some too and run, Jiang Yi said. Huang Ping agreed. After the 3 cultivators collected some flowers, they bid Yimo farewell. Yimo had also collected some before slowly making his way to where the 4 people fought the metal spine crocodile. When Yimo arrived, one of them had already been injured, but the 3 level 2 crocodiles had also been killed. The 3 people who fought the crocodile saw Yimo come closer slowly, and they all slowed down their attacks, keeping a part of their attention on Yimo. Tong Juntan was very worried. He hadn't thought a mere stage 8 chi-gathering cultivator would dare to chase him here. Yimo could tell that one of them was at chi-gathering peak. When he saw Yimo watch on the side freely, he said to him, Martial brother, this level 3 beast is very powerful. We can't bring him down. Please help us. We can give you a part of its body too. Yimo sneered. Even if they gave him all of the body, he couldn't be bothered to attack. Who did that guy think he was? Yimo didn't even respond and just kept watching the fight. Martial brother, judging by your clothes, you're also from the Zhangyuan sword say dash. The chi-gathering peak cultivator wasn't happy that Yimo ignored him. Yimo interrupted him. You fight your own battle, I watch mine. I'm just passing by. I have some conflict with a guy here. If I hadn't been waiting for you guys to beat this crocodile, I would have long resolved my conflict and left. Who has the time to stay here anyway? The chi-gathering peak cultivator's expression went cold. He hadn't thought a mere outer sect member would dare to talk to him like this. But the next moment, he decided not to drag the battle on anymore. He took out a rune and smashed it on the crocodile. At the same time, his flying sword also sealed off the crocodile's retreat path. Clearly, he hadn't been using his full power before. Chapter 841. Number 2 in the Hall of Fame. Chapter 841. Number 2 in the Hall of Fame. Rumble, Yemo saw that the chi-gathering peak cultivator had thrown out a rune paper which turned into a huge boulder, larger than a small mansion. That smashed the head of the metal spine crocodile. The crocodile howled and was thrown a few hundred meters away before landing and convulsing. Half of its head had been smashed apart. Then, he sent out his flying sword and sliced the crocodile's head off. Even Yemo had to admit that this cultivator's flying sword was strong. It was very hard to slice the crocodile's head off in one go, considering how tough its skin was. Yemo could tell that this cultivator had used at least a level 5 boulder rune. After killing the crocodile, the cultivator didn't go to take the carcass nor the beast pill. Instead, he walked up to Yemo and studied him before saying coldly, "Did you think you could act cocky in front of me just because I was fighting the metal spine crocodile?" Before Yemo could reply, he said coldly, "Seeing that we're from the same sect, I'll let you live. Leave behind your storage bag, shatter your dantian, and leave behind an arm. Then you can P*SS off." That was no different to killing Yemo. They were in the All-Herbs mountain ranges. But Yemo wasn't angry. It was the law of the jungle there. "By the way, my name is Li Balan. Don't make the wrong enemy when you come for revenge in your next life." The chi-gathering peak cultivator laughed. "Martial Brother Li, you're really generous today." The other chi-gathering cultivator who was collecting the corpse said. So that guy was Li Balan, the guy who had ranked second on the Hall of Fame. Yemo thought that this guy was indeed much stronger than the usual chi-gathering disciples, but it wouldn't be hard for him to kill him. However, that guy had a big brother who was Li Bison, and he was Foundation Establishment State Peak. He needed to be careful. Yemo ignored Li Balan and said to Tong Jantan, who was just watching on the side, "Tong, if you want to steal the purple lotus, that's fine." But before Yemo could finish, he was interrupted by Li Balan, who glared at Tong Jantan. "Martial Brother Tong, you told me you had offended the metal spine crocodile for the rainbow golden flower, yet it doesn't seem to be the case. It's for the purple lotus." Great. The other cultivator collecting the corpse immediately got up and sealed off Tong Jantan's escape. Yemo saw that he had gotten what he wanted and stopped talking. Although these people weren't a match for him, anything could happen in the cultivation realm. If he could make the two of them fight each other, why not? Even Yemo wasn't confident 100% that he could have dodged that level 5 rune. "I underestimated you." Tong Jantan looked coldly at Yemo and then said to Li Balan, "I got 5 purple lotus seeds, but I fought for that with my life." "Since Martial Brother Li is here too, I'm willing to give you 2. Li Balan was dazed. The purple lotus was the perfect spirit herb for cultivators below Foundation Establishment State. However, before he had even made a move, Tong Jantan was willing to give him 2. How could he let go something like the purple lotus? Li Balan smirked and shook his head. "Martial Brother Li, seeing that we're from the same sect, I won't ask you for more. I'll also help you kill your enemy, but you must leave your purple lotus behind." As though he was expecting this, Tong Jantan wasn't surprised. He just nodded and took out a bag. Just when Li Balan thought he was going to get it, Tong Jantan suddenly threw it to Yemo and said, "I got this from Yemo before it landed on him." Yemo turned away to leave and said, "It's not mine. Whoever wants, you can have it." Tong Jantan's expression changed. He had thought Yemo would run as soon as he got the bag and Li Balan would chase after him. Like this, he could escape. However, Yemo was so cunning, and he had just let the bag fall on the ground. Tong Jantan didn't have time, so he simply started running. But as soon as he lifted his foot, Li Balan's flying sword had already pierced Tong Jantan's back. Clearly, Li Balan also knew what Tong Jantan was trying to do. Yemo watched this and sneered. He was sure that small bag didn't have the purple lotus. Li Balan's flying sword had a sharp metal chi that made piercing sounds in the air every time it sliced. Yimo could tell that the difference between him and Li Balan was that he used the power of his cultivation essence to lock enemies, while Li Balan had a complete sword ability. The flying sword flew all over the place, like falling leaves, leaving people nowhere to hide. Even Yimo could feel the cold killing chi from a 100 meters distance. Yimo's eyes narrowed. Li Balan had never used his full power when fighting the crocodile. He could have killed the crocodile himself, but why did he use the rune? Li Balan, you didn't use full power before. Tong Jintan had also realized that Li Balan's moves were many times stronger than before. His body had a few slices already. Li Balan sneered, Tong Jintan, other people might not know you, but you think I don't? Would you offend Metal Spine Crocodile for a mere rainbow golden flower? Do you think I'm an idiot? Did you use full power yourself? I think you were saving it to run away. Tong Jintan glared at Yimo and Li Balan hatefully. He knew he was in danger today. At this moment, Tong Jintan suddenly approached Yimo and said while fighting, Yimo, do you think Li Balan will let you go after he kills me? Even if you get away today, do you think you can run away from his brother? As though believing Tong Jintan, Yimo sent out his flying sword suddenly. Seeing this, Tong Jintan looked overjoyed. If Yimo managed to hold back Li Balan, he could run away. Chapter 842, Strong Foundation. Chapter 842, Strong Foundation Establishment State. Li Balan was dazed and immediately screamed, That's impossible. There's no way you're at Foundation Establishment State. Yimo wasn't going to waste his time talking to him. His flying sword shot a sword ray towards Li Balan, and that sword ray soon became 2, 4, 8, etc. Yimo knew Li Balan was not bad. He had a flashy sword ability. He didn't want to talk, so he used his killing blow, the 3-birth sword ray, immediately. When Li Balan recovered from his shock, he controlled his flying sword and blocked Yimo's sword ray with a veil. Although Li Balan wasn't very powerful, his sword ability was indeed good. The sword veil was much stronger than a cultivation chi veil. Li Balan not only blocked Yimo's attack, but he could also counterattack. Seeing him take out another rune, Yimo realized this guy had a lot of good items. He wasn't going to let Li Balan use the rune. He used more cultivation essence to form sword rays. 32, 64, 256. When they formed a simple net, Li Balan's sword veil was shattered completely. Countless sword rays surrounded Li Balan like needles. The only thing Li Balan could do was to use his flying sword to protect his head. He suddenly realized that he, the second-ranked master on the Chi Gathering Hall of Fame, couldn't even defend himself against a Chi Gathering Stage 8 cultivator. Splurge, multiple sword rays pierced his body, throwing him hundreds of meters away before crashing on the ground. Li Balan was shook. What kind of sword ability was this that it was so terrifying? He quickly took out a few pills and looked at Yimo in horror. Martial brother, I'm sorry. I'm willing to compensate you. My big brother is Li Bais. You can't dash. He could tell that Yimo wasn't at Foundation Establishment State. He was a real Chi Gathering State cultivator, but his cultivation chi had turned into cultivation essence, and that sword ability was too terrifying. Yimo realized that even though his 3-birth sword ray was indeed a big killing move, his power was too weak and it was incomplete. Otherwise, Li Balan's sword veil wouldn't have been able to block it at all. When he used his 3-birth sword ray at full power, it used up cultivation essence drastically. If he hadn't had cultivation essence instead of cultivation chi, he might have not been able to move now. Yimo ignored Li Balan's beg and just sliced off his head. The other cultivator looked at Yimo in horror, not daring to say a word. Other than that woman who was at halfway Foundation Establishment State, no one would have dared to say he was stronger than Li Balan in Chi Gathering State. Yet, that random person had killed Li Balan in less a few minutes. If Yimo had been to the Hall of Fame, he would have gotten number 1 for sure. But then he began to worry. That guy was so strong and he had killed Li Balan. How could he let him go? But before he could beg, Yemo's flying sword had already chopped off his head just like he had guessed. Yemo collected the storage bags and the corpse of the crocodile before quickly burning the bodies. He left immediately, but instead of heading outside, he went deeper into the rangers. Not long after, a small squad got there and observed the scene. The leading fat young man said, "It seems like there was a battle here not long ago, and there was a level 3 metal spine crocodile. It must have been a Foundation establishment state Qianbei who fought with the level 3 beast. We should leave quickly." The person's face changed and he quickly left. The rest followed. Yemo didn't know that the moment he had killed Li Belan, in the depth of the Zhang Yuan sword sect, a place of dense spirit qi, someone howled. A man in his 30s stood in the air and roared, "No matter who you are, I will cut you into 1,000,000 pieces and burn your soul for killing my brother." Then, he emitted a bright red light and disappeared from the sect, dashing towards the All Herbs mountain ranges. As soon as this middle-aged man left, another 2 Golden Core state elders stood outside the man's cultivation home. The skinnier-looking man sighed, "Marshal Neasley can stay in the air without using a magic artifact. It seems like he has reached Fake Core state. Sigh, in some time, he will reach Golden Core state for sure. Why did he leave now? It seems like his brother was killed. Li Belan was also a genius of our sect. He was about to reach Core Disciple, but he was killed in the All Herb ranges just now. No wonder his brother is so angry. Pity." The other Golden Core state elder sighed. "I hope he will come back after he gets revenge and reach Golden Core state." Then, the 2 elders left. Li Bealson arrived at where Li Belan had been killed very quickly and studied the surroundings carefully before chasing in one direction. That direction happened to be the direction which the squad that had been there took. Yemo used the 3 birth chance stealth abilities to the extreme and dodged countless beasts. He flew for 2 days straight and didn't stop until he saw a level 4 beast. The reason he was so careful was that Yemo knew of Li Bealson. He was at Foundation Establishment State peak and might have even reached Golden Core State. That master would trace his brother's body, and if he chased after him, he wouldn't be able to beat him. Yemo found an obscured valley and dug a cultivation home there, a few hundred meters into the heart of the valley. He knew he caused a big commotion when he cultivated, so he put up tins of formations before starting cultivation. The reason Yemo had chosen to cultivate on the domain of a level 4 beast was because this beast was a Hun bear. It was very powerful, but it didn't have much wits. Even if he made spirit whirlpools, it might not be able to understand. Moreover, he was in the heart of the ranges. Yemo believed that no other beast would dare go over there. He had found himself a free bodyguard. In the depths of the valley, a spirit chi whirlpool was formed in the air. It gradually grew bigger until a small whirlpool was also formed on the side. Eventually, this small whirlpool also got bigger. At some point, 8 spirit whirlpools were formed above the valley, and they seemed to be merging together. Yemo's face was calm, but he was forcing himself to stay calm. He was surprised at how fast he was devouring spirit chi. It seemed that after he had ran his cultivation essence in his meridians and chakra points, the 3 birth chant could run on itself. He believed that he could cultivate while doing other things. The Stage 9 barrier was broken through without resistance. Stage 9 primary stage, middle stage, tertiary stage. Spirit chi kept flowing through his meridians, forming cultivation essence and increasing the size of his chi si. When he got to Stage 9 peak, he found that the cultivation essence could run freely in his meridians, and each chakra point seemed to be able to contain explosive power. Yemo took a cold breath in. A mixed spirit root? Could a mixed spirit root have such speed? The 3 birth chant was too powerful. Yemo stopped cultivating and scanned his spirit sense. He found in shock that it was just daylight. He had reached Stage 9 peak in just one night. What was up with that cultivation speed? Yemo suppressed his joy, but he didn't try to break through to Foundation Establishment State. Instead, he started to stabilize his power. Chapter 843, Foundation Establishment Enlightenment. Chapter 843, Foundation Establishment Enlightenment. Half a day later, Emo felt that all of his cultivation essence had stabilized. He took out his herbs to prepare the foundation establishment pill. Although Emo could tell that it was possible for him to reach foundation establishment state without the pill, just in case he would make a cauldron of pills first. Emo knew that the reason he had reached stage 9 peak so easily was due to his solid foundation. He had been cultivating in a place with little spirit chi, so he had built a very solid foundation, which had burst up when he arrived in a place filled with spirit chi. The huge spirit chi whirlpool had caught the attention of many beasts as well as that bears. However, due to Emo's formation, it didn't find anything. The rest of the beasts immediately got scared by the bear's power when they approached its territory. When Emo realized that he didn't have to be afraid of interruptions, he cared even less. Emo came the magical herb sect, and all his pill concocting techniques had been taught to him by Luoing. Whether it was herb refinement, fire control, pill formation, or pill collection. But after Emo had started cultivating the 3 birth chant, he developed his own pill concocting method. It was based on magical herb sect, but it had his own mark. And when it matured, he would form his own system. Through the 3 birth chant, Emo felt that the most important thing about pill concocting was herb refinement and pill collection. Emo had all the main ingredients and supplement ingredients for the foundation establishment pill. He had used the Shin Nong cauldron for many years. It was no longer as dull-looking as when he first got it. It had spirit chi circulating around it. After he was ready, Emo focused his mind and started making the foundation establishment pill. He threw the herbs into the cauldron for refinement. Under Emo's 3 birth chant technique, the herbs turned into pure herbal liquid. 3 hours later, the liquid started to merge together. The intense spirit chi made Emo feel very comfortable concocting pills. Without any failure, the herbal liquids rolled in one direction under Emo's spirit sense. Another hour later, it started to emit a faint aroma started too. Emo could tell that the pill was about to be formed. For the first time, Emo felt like it was so easy to make pills. Even the chi-increasing pill wasn't hard. Without any pressure, Emo saw pills form inside the Shin Nong cauldron. 6 crisp green foundation establishment pills were made under Emo's own technique and stored inside a jade bottle. 6 pills. Emo was very satisfied. Although the foundation establishment pill wasn't very hard to make, it was still a spirit level 1 pill. Emo looked at the 6 foundation establishment pills inside. If he had had a better flame, perhaps he could have made more pills in one go and the quality would have also increased. With a good flame, the preparation time would also be greatly decreased. Thinking about this, Emo made up his mind. If he was going to be a pill master, he needed to find a good flame. Emo put the foundation establishment pill away and continued making 2 more cauldrons. Emo made 18 pills altogether. He put 8 pills into 2 jade bottles. He had prepared these for Song Yangzhu and Yiling. It was already midnight when Emo finished. Emo calmed down and prepared himself to reach foundation establishment state. This time, an even larger spirit whirlpool was formed, but the bear just glanced at it. It couldn't even be bothered to get up. When Emo got at stage 9, more than 90% of his chi had turned into cultivation essence. Hence, it was much easier for him to reach foundation establishment state than for others. As expected, when Emo's cultivation essence started charging at the foundation establishment state barrier, the blocked meridian was unblocked automatically and large amounts of spirit chi were devoured by Emo, turning into cultivation essence. Emo felt his meridians enlarge, and the cultivation essence in his dantian got dense. Even so, when he was trying to break through the final barrier, he realized he was lacking some kind of momentum. Foundation establishment wasn't that easy indeed. If he hadn't had such a solid foundation, he wouldn't have even be able to feel the final barrier. He would have needed at least another year. Emo felt like he was devouring a lot of spirit chi, but it was far from enough. Emo simply took out a foundation establishment pill and swallowed it. The pill turned into spirit liquid, making Emo's meridians rumble. Instantly, its size increased many times. The cultivation essence, that had been a little difficult to move, gathered together and blasted open the final barrier. Emo felt a light cracking sound inside his body, and he felt an extremely comfortable and powerful sensation. Emo was shook. He realized he had reached foundation establishment state. He had experienced this feeling once before, but he hadn't felt so comfortable the first time. Foundation establishment state was building the foundation of the immortal Tao. It cleared the body of impurities and garbage. His body emitted a bad smell. Yimo understood that his body was being refined once again. Yimo calmed down and continued the process while stabilizing his foundation establishment state power. After some time, Yimo could feel that his cultivation essence was many times stronger. He scanned his spirit sense out, and everything within 100 kilometers was clear in his mind. This shook him greatly. He had known his spirit sense would be much stronger than others ever since he had started cultivating 3 birth chant, but he hadn't thought the difference would be this huge. An ordinary foundation establishment state master could only reach 40 kilometers, yet his could reach 100 kilometers. He took back his spirit sense and felt the power of his cultivation essence. It was already at foundation establishment state level 1 middle stage. He didn't stop. He took the purple lotus and ran the 3 birth chant again. Yimo went into deep meridian cycles. It was the first time he had gone into deep cultivation after reaching foundation establishment state. The cultivation essence flowed in his meridians more and more freely until it went wherever it wanted. The incomplete 3 birth sword ray also became gradually clearer. Yimo slowly realized that he had been cultivating it in the wrong path. The cultivation essence he had used to activate the sword ray, and the cultivation essence he had used to control the sword ray to leave the sword and attack the enemy were wrong. Although it was strong, Yimo found out that it wasn't the right path, because what he had been doing made the sword ray slow and limited its power. If there were a lot of sword rays, it would be a great waste of his cultivation essence. The real 3 birth sword ray should be controlled by one's spirit sense and will. Only that way could he activate countless sword rays instantly. When he cultivated it to a high level, the sword rays could even form all sorts of shapes and no one would be able to escape. Yimo was overjoyed and focused on it even more. He felt that if he could use his spirit sense to control the 3 birth sword ray and master it, he would be invincible among those in his same state. If his cultivation essence helped the spirit sense control the sword ray, it would be even stronger. So this is the real 3 birth sword ray. Yimo called out in excitement. His battle power had increased many folds. He found that he was even at foundation establishment state level 2 tertiary stage now. So fast. Yimo sighed, but he didn't eat the second purple lotus. It could only help him improve 2 levels, so he wasn't in a rush. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.